Hello, everyone. How are you? And thank you for joining us today on the Transatlantic Call-In Show on the line, where you get to talk to real life trans people about any type of trans issues, political issues, or anything that you want to possibly have questions about. We are here. I'm here with Dr. Ben. How are you, Dr. Ben?
I am doing okay. I don't live in Texas anymore, and that is some great news. I am in a safe haven state now, still with access to go back to Texas like as needed for uh, the remainder of army separation things. But it is a breath of fresh air to have a state that actually wants to fight for its people. Like that's nice.
Yeah, it is nice.
Yeah.
And
How you
I
been?
am just I've been good. It's been very busy, as everyone knows that I'm actively running for political office at Josie for Maryland.com. But yeah, it's been very, very busy. I saw the governor today, talking some good stuff, trying to hold all of the klepto maniacs out of in power. I was just so angry today, like yesterday as well. I'm just like, I'm a little angry, or not a little angry. I'm very angry about how Trump is like dipping his hand into the treasury and suing the DOJ to take $230 million for himself. And I'm just like, I don't know, I don't have words anymore. Like, I just, like, screamed out loud when I heard that news, like, literally screamed out loud in the car when I was driving to an event. I'm just so angry about everything, and it's just annoying. It's
Yeah,
just annoying.
it's like that particular issue, it's like this type of thing is happening, yet trans people are somehow the problem. Like, we're gonna
Yeah.
focus all of our energy on making this small group of people seem like a huge problem, like, in a way to distract from we have, the president literally robbing the country. So,
Yeah, yeah. It's just like just dip his hand into the treasury and just take out what he wants. It's so wild. But yes, if you want to call in, make sure you call in. The phone lines are open at 720-619-2288, or you can use the web link in the description. But yeah, we're gonna have a great show today. So I'm I'm ready just to start with a call. How about you?
yeah, we got a spicy one in there, it looks like.
Yeah, I
Let's do
am
it.
ready. I'm just like I see the call. I'm like, let's go, let's go. So
Yeah.
we are gonna go ahead and take Tomris, whatever pronouns, wants to make the case that transgenderism is bad for society and is bad for the sanity of most people. So Tomris, you're live on the line. How are you?
I'm doing just fine. How are you?
I'm doing just fine as well.
Um, yeah. So the last time I called into this show, they, I kind of made a comment about homosexuality in passing, and um, that got kind of conflated with what I was saying about transgenderism. And I was kind of thinking about it after the call, and I realized that not just me, I think for a lot of people, kind of the issue I guess that they might have with the trans issue or with the gay issue is both that it's something that kind of there's a lot of pressure in society for people to outwardly accept regardless of how they actually feel about it. And I think just that kind of I don't know if dogmatism would be the right word, but I think that kind of thing where I think people are encouraged to not uh, kind of authentically kind of share how they feel about things. You know what I mean? I think that's very
Okay.
damaging, and I think for most people, I think kind of uh, not being honest with people for the sake of like political correctness or something, I think is it's not good. And there's a bunch of adjectives you could use for it. But yeah,
Okay,
that's my thing.
sure. All right. So great. Do you want people to say Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays?
I don't care.
Christmas season's coming up. Okay, so you don't care?
I'm sorry.
So you're okay with people so you don't care. You don't care if there's like a political push to make people say Merry Christmas rather than Happy Holidays?
I mean, I think just to go along with what I was saying, if there's a like, if you're the kind of person, right? who would normally say Merry Christmas, and then be it your employer, be it your the government, whatever, if there's a push for you to say Happy Holidays when you would otherwise say Merry Christmas, I don't think you should say Happy Holidays just to like appease people or be politically correct. If that makes sense.
So you do believe there's a war on Christmas, essentially?
No, I didn't say that. I mean, if you're asking me, like,
Well,
yes,
I mean,
asking people to say
there's a
Happy
lot of
Holidays.
people who believe that, right? There's a lot of people on the right in particular that are like, "Oh, there's a war on Christmas because people are saying Happy Holidays instead of Merry Christmas." And even Trump says, "We're gonna say Merry Christmas again." Like there's actually like a political thing to impose Christmas on people who are would say Happy Holidays instead. And how do you feel
There
about
isn't a
that?
war. I mean, a war is when someone's shooting artillery at you. There isn't a war on Christmas. The thing about what you're
Okay.
talking about is, no. I mean, I think if you're Jewish, for
But
example, right? And I'm
do you
not Jewish.
understand what I'm doing though,
I'm sorry.
right? Do you understand what you understand why I'm asking you these questions? Because you're essentially saying that if a trans person says they're trans, they're imposing that on you when it's actually just a person just being trans. Just like somebody who says Merry Christmas, somebody who says Happy Holidays, like the idea that we are just people with different lives and have different issues. It's like the whole idea that I'm pushing my transness on somebody just because I'm trans is kind of a silly thing, right?
It depends on the context. Like, just by the way you just said it just now, no, that isn't an issue. The issue that I have is, again, there's some there's some situation where there's someone who I would use he him pronouns, and like they're a dude as far as I'm aware, and like I take them to be a dude, and then there's some procedure or something where I have to call them something that I don't believe that they are.
What procedure is that?
Um, that
What's that procedure? I want to know that procedure.
Yeah, like for example, I think I heard it was not someone I know, but someone who knows someone I know who I think they started working somewhere as a male, and then they started identifying as a female, like into working there. And
You mean a woman?
it was something that, like, I'm sorry.
You mean a woman, not a male or a female, right? You're saying somebody who transitioned from their gender of man to woman, not male or
Yeah,
female.
if
That's
I
not
didn't
what
say
we're
that,
doing.
yeah, male to female. If I
Well,
said something
it's
other than that, I
just
misspoke.
somebody who's transitioned to a woman, right? Like not a female. We don't transition to females. We transition it to women in this
Sure.
case,
I guess
right?
the point that I was trying to make with that is that the issue in question was there was a uniform that men wore and there was a uniform that women wore, and the contention was that this person who like was a man when they started working there, and still, I guess, to the person who decided uniform stuff, like resembled a man, right? That there was an issue because that person identified as a woman and wanted to like wear the women's uniform, but they weren't seen
Thomas,
as a woman by the people they worked with. So you know what I mean?
Thomas,
That's like, and that's one example of
the
what I'm
issue
talking about.
here,
But there's, yeah, yeah.
Thomas, the issue here, and I think what Josie was getting at before is the issue. Like, you can believe whatever you want about trans people. I can't make you accept trans people. I can't make you say anything nice about trans people. That's not what we are advocating for. We are advocating for trans people to be allowed to be themselves authentically. Whether or not you're going to be kind to trans people is your own fucking business. We can uh like, I don't need your acceptance to go about living my life. The issue is when somebody says that they want to be allowed to say terrible things about trans people. You're already allowed to do that, but I'm also allowed to say that that's a rude thing to say, right? If you get full rights to say whatever you want to people, I also get those full rights to say whatever I want about people. So then your need for other people to allow you to believe whatever you want is kind of nonsensical because you're already allowed to not agree with trans people. And I don't really care. I just care that I get access to healthcare. I can go out in public, being expressing myself the way I want to, have my name that I want to have on my papers, have the gender marker that I want to have on my papers. None of that has anything to do with you personally, right?
It doesn't. No, it doesn't have to do with me personally. But I'm not. Like, again, if all I cared about was me
But
personally, I wouldn't care about this. I wouldn't, like, care about anything that we're talking
so
about right now.
why going back to your point, so somebody has a
Yeah.
uniform code and a standard where it's just like, if you're a trans woman, then you should have access to if there is a dress code that is gendered, they should be able to use the uniform of their gender. We have anti-discrimination laws. This has already been talked about in the courts, and this is already law.
Yeah, that doesn't that uniform example, just because that doesn't pertain to me personally, that might not have been the best example. I think probably
So
a better example to illustrate what
mhm,
I'm talking about is, like, I went to public schools, right? And I'm not as old as your chat thinks I am, but, I was in school right when, like, gay acceptance was, like, kind of first became kinda something that was, like, kind of normal, you know what I mean? Um, and it was
mhm.
very much understood that, like, you like, saying that it's not okay to be gay, for example, like, that wasn't something that was, like, permitted for you to say, essentially, at least in the public school that I went to. And I think
Right.
it's kind of the same thing where I think this social kind of push towards, like, gender acceptance and stuff like this, a lot of it is causing people to, for the sake of being, socially kind, or for, being politically correct, or whatever word you wanna use for it, it's causing people to, for fear of being, ostracized from their community or whatever, or just being straight up punished if it's school. It causes
But
people
Tomris,
to not be authentic, and to
I
just
think
kind of lie to people
you're
for the
kind
sake
of
of just getting along.
What
Thomas,
lie?
you're kind of switching the situation again where
Yeah.
you're kind of acting like you're the victim of rude comments when you did something rude to somebody else. Like if you call somebody, like let's say someone's name is Susan and you call them
Right.
Catherine and they said no, that's not my name, and you continued to call them Catherine and that made that person feel upset, would you feel bad about that? Would you maybe change what you were calling them because they felt bad?
If I genuinely if I genuinely thought that their name was Catherine, and that they either were being disingenuous or they were confused or whatever, and they insisted that I call them
Does it,
Susan, no, I would be doing that for
Like you
a
Thomas?
had
disservice by
access
Does
calling them Susan if I genuinely believed that
so
their name
like
was
if
Catherine. You know
somebody's
what I mean?
So if
No,
someone's
I
name was
don't.
Nicholas, if someone's name was Nicholas and they went by Nick, would you demand to see their identification to prove that their name was actually Nick, or would you be okay calling them Nick even though their real name is Nicholas?
No, if I had no
Isn't that a
reason to think that they
lie?
were being
Aren't they lying to you?
no,
Aren't they lying
no.
to
If
you
I
that
had no
about being Nick then?
you're not letting me answer the question. If I have no reason to think they're being disingenuous, I would have no reason to not call them Nick.
Right, and
What I'm
trans people
saying is
aren't
that,
being
again, like,
disingenuous either. The
Yeah.
issue here,
no, because
you're the person whose name is Nicholas and goes by Nick is most likely not disingenuous, but that's the same thing for trans people. Trans people are also honest about who they are, how they identify, how they express themselves, and their name could legally be changed to whatever name they go by. So if you're gonna grant that to someone named Nick, why is that so different from somebody who changes their name from Mark to Susan?
uh, it's kind of the same thing, that if for whatever reason, right, I am 100% convinced that your name is Peter and your name isn't Nick. If you say that your name is Nick, and even after you introduce yourself as Nick, I still, for whatever reason, 100% am
Right, but it
convinced that
doesn't
your name is
matter if they
Peter, I
convince
am
you. Why
lying to
does it
you by
matter
calling
if
you Nick.
Wait, you're
Thomas? No,
lying
why
now?
does it why does it matter if you are convinced of someone's name? Like that is someone's name. Like you can be trans and not passing and still have a name that is feminine or masculine. Like your name,
Yeah,
you can't assume somebody's name or like that's kind of ridiculous, don't you think, Tomras?
I'm not sure if I understand what's ridiculous.
So Thomas, I just to back up. Isn't it so let's say you had access to somebody's birth certificate and you're like you or they dropped their ID and you handed it to them and it said Peter, but they've been going by Nick
Yeah.
this whole time. Like would you be like, "Well, all right, Peter," and you would just continue to call them Peter even though they know that they go by Nick?
No, because your name is what your name isn't what's on your birth certificate. Your name is what like you're known as to the like community that you live in, right? So if you're like my birth
Yeah,
certificate could
which is
Yeah.
say
So
like
determined by
that's the
what,
same with trans
Thomas?
people. That's the same with trans people,
Like,
Thomas.
yeah,
well no because
like
again
it's determined by the
in any
person.
social go ahead, yeah.
It's determined by that person, though. When somebody introduces themselves and they say, "Hi, I'm Josie. I use she/her pronouns, and this is who I am. I live here in this county." Like, why would you challenge that?
The reason I would challenge it is for the same reason that if my name's Thomas, right, and everyone in my circle knows me as Thomas, and then all of a sudden for no discernible reason, I start telling people that my name is Peter and my name isn't Thomas. Again, if I'm being genuine about my name being Peter, then yeah, people are probably going to call me Peter. But the whole thing is that
Sure.
if I like, yeah, but like if I don't like, if I'm still Thomas to people, then I'm still Thomas. Like me identifying as Peter doesn't change that. So it's the same thing with like transgenderism. That like if I take you to be a
Thomas,
woman or I take you to be a man,
but
what your identity
Thomas,
doesn't really
but what if
isn't as important as like how you present
you had
yourself. You know what I mean?
somebody. Yeah, no, but Thomas, but what if, again, going back to the Nick example, if you have somebody whose name is Nicholas and they've gone by Nicholas for most of their life, but then they say, hey, you know what? I'm not feeling Nicholas anymore. I actually want to go by Nick. Would you be opposed to that? Would you say, no, I always knew you as Nicholas. You're Nicholas in our community, so I'm going to keep calling you that? Or would you be okay changing in that case?
Yeah, yeah, it would be a natural sort of like what you call people is kind of just a natural sort of thing. It's not really something there's like an ideology behind. You know what I mean?
So there's no ideology around being trans either.
Well, no, because again, if I under normal circumstances would call someone a woman, and then that person insists that they're a man, and even after they insist that they're a man, I still like just innately, intuitively recognize them as a woman. I am lying to them by calling them a man. You know what I'm saying?
How are you
So,
lying to No, I don't know what you're saying. So let's expound on that really quick. So wait,
Yeah.
your perception of everybody's gender identity is the truth and the person that's actually living their life is not?
That no, that's similar, but no. If I take something to be true, even if I'm personally wrong, right? If I'm 100% convinced that something is true and I say that that thing is false, even if it's actually false, if I believe it to be true, I am lying if I say it's false. Do you
So
understand what
so
I'm
so
saying?
let's say no, I don't because let's say you're like, "Oh, I am speed like let's say you're driving down the road and you're like going 65 miles an hour, but you didn't realize that the speed
Hmm.
limit's now 55 miles an hour down that road. And a cop pulls you over and is like, "Hey sir, you're speeding. You're going 10 miles over the speed limit." And you're like, "No, it's 65." And the cop's like, "No, it's actually 55." And you're like, I don't care. It's always been 65 and that's my truth, so let me go." Are you lying to the cop or is the cop lying to you? Do you see what the logic is here?
That's not. I understand what you're saying, but that logic doesn't apply because there's an objective
Yeah, it does
truth as to.
apply. So tell me
Nope.
why does that example not apply, but your perception of someone's gender identity does?
Yeah. So if a cop pulls me over, I think the speed limit's 65. He thinks it's 55. I can
He doesn't
figure
think he
out pretty
knows.
easily. Like, I'm sorry.
He doesn't think he knows. He pulled you over for speeding.
He doesn't think he know. Wait, what?
Wait, you're driving 65 and it's actually now 55. You didn't know
Mhm.
because the signage changed and you weren't paying attention. And now you're getting dinged with 10 miles over the speed limit because it's now 55 instead of 65. Your perception
Yeah.
of the speed limit doesn't change the reality, correct?
Oh no, I think I see what you're saying, but no, my again, if I got pulled over thinking that the speed limit was 65 and the cop says it's 55, again, assuming that it's a legitimate cop, when the cop says that it's 55, like I now understand the limit to be 55.
Okay,
I don't
so
see
when
how
a
that.
person says they're a
Yeah,
woman because they have the best idea about themselves than you do, why don't you take the same type of criticality in the same type of vein? When somebody says they're a woman and they know
yeah.
themselves to be a woman, why do you get to now tell them they're not?
Let me try to find a way to word this. If I So someone who, again, someone who I personally take to be a man, if for whatever reason someone wants to either coerce me or convince me or whatever, to call this person a woman, and I call them a woman despite thinking that they're a man, that would be the same thing as if I'm looking at a speed limit and the speed limit says 65 miles an hour, and someone gets like upset at me and like says that it's actually 55 miles an hour, and rather than upset them, I just say, yeah, it's 55 miles an hour. You're right. That's the
Thomas,
same thing as
Thomas,
calling
are
someone
you
who I
aware
recognize
that
to be a man
you're
a woman. You know what I mean?
Thomas, are you aware that what you recognize may be incorrect even for cisgender people?
100%.
So
Okay.
you're going to say that so in a case where somebody has PCOS with significant masculinization, are you going to say that I thought you were a man, I'm going to keep calling you a man, or would you correct yourself in that case?
I don't know what PCOS is. Are you talking about like a woman
It's
who like
like
just has
hair.
masculine
Polycystic
features or
ovarian
what?
syndrome. Yeah, a cisgender woman with masculine features.
If
And
I
if
take
you
them like
saw this person, go ahead.
yeah, no, I mean it depends on the exact situation. Like for example, if this person, if at
So
a
you're
glance,
willing
right,
to
this person is
grant,
a bi.
Thomas, so you're willing to grant an exception for cis people that do not present the way that you expect them. You're willing to
No,
abandon your assumption of them if for a cis person, but not for a trans person.
no, it has nothing to do with that they're cisgender. You're missing the point. Is that if
No,
what I was gonna say
it's
before I got
all about
interrupted?
appearance for you.
Yeah, that's
Appearance
what we're getting
isn't
at.
just physical. Like appearance can be the tone of your voice. So what I'm saying is that with the person who you're talking about, if I look at them and they like I see that they're or like, I take them to be a dude, right? Even though that they're a woman who just looks masculine. But then I like walk over to them and their voice is like so high pitched that there's no way that they're like actually a dude. Then like, oh yeah,
What
they're
if their
probably a woman.
voice isn't high pitched
It's
though? What if
What
their
if
voice isn't
yeah,
high pitched? There are women with lower pitched voices.
yeah.
okay.
There are
Yeah,
women
no,
with facial hair.
if
There are women
after,
with masculine
talking to them,
builds.
observing them, yeah, if after talking to them,
Thomas,
observing them, doing everything like that,
do you believe that your assumption is going to be correct every single time?
no, no one says. That doesn't negate what I'm saying though.
Okay.
Okay, so in the cases where your assumption is wrong, are you going to double down and go off of their appearance, or are you going to go off of what they tell you they are?
What do you mean my assumption is wrong? Because I don't take your
Yeah,
gender isn't just how
so
you
again, if
identify; it's how you operate within
yeah,
society.
so again,
No,
it's the
that's
exact
gender
example I
expression.
gave you. Somebody who is cisgender, who
Mhm.
identifies as a woman, who was uh, born and assigned female, and has a medical condition that makes them appear more masculine, and they might have more masculine expression as well, because that's the thing people are allowed to do. And so, let's say this person, for all intents and purposes to you, seems like a man, but then they tell you, no, I'm a woman. What do you do in that case? How do you decide how to treat that person?
Yeah, if they identify themselves as a woman, and I innately, just intuitively, like take their word for it, and like, yeah, you're a woman, then you're a woman. If I think that either they're being
So it's
disingenuous or they're
all
confused or this or that, then like that,
so
like them
Thomas,
them telling
it sounds like
me that they're a
you
woman isn't the thing that necessarily makes them a woman. You know what I'm saying?
No, I don't know what
so
you're saying.
no, and
Like,
that's and
yeah.
that's what we're saying. You have if there are times when you're not your assumption of somebody else could very well be wrong. And so we're trying to get a
Sure.
grasp on how you make the determination. And it sounds like to you, your assumption is all that matters. And that what that person says doesn't. So in this case, it seems like you're saying that you are the arbiter of what someone's gender gets to be.
Because you said
I'm not the
lie.
arbiter of what their
You
gender is.
literally
I'm the arbiter
you
of what I
literally
consider
said
to be
you're
true or false to them.
lying. Yeah, you literally
I'm
say
sorry?
you're lying. You've used the term at the beginning of
Yeah.
this call that I do not want to lie to them, and that lie is based on your assumption. We have proven that through this call.
Yeah. No, yeah, if I believe something to be true and I say it's false, then I'm lying, correct?
What? No. What if it's true and you think it's false?
Yeah, if 2 plus t if theoretically, right? If 2 plus 2 equals 5, like, that's actually what 2 plus 2 equals, right? And I say let me try to find a way to word this. Yeah, if 2 plus 2 actually equals 5, right? And I say that 2 plus 2 equals 4, and I'm 1000% that 2 plus 2 equals 4, even though in actuality it equals 5. If I say that 2 plus 2 equals 5 just to like appease someone who's talking to me or something, and I don't actually believe that 2 plus 2 equals 5, then yes, I am lying to them. If I am saying something I
But
don't
you'd
believe, then
be
I am lying.
but you'd also be wrong. And so in that case, you're just doubling down on a fact that is not true.
Yeah, and
And so that's disingenuous in a different way, that you're not willing to
yeah,
correct yourself on a mistaken assumption.
No,
yeah,
no.
and
If I genuinely believe something and I say the thing that I genuinely believe, excuse
Tha-
me,
That's
even if I'm wrong, I'm not being
but
disingenuous
that's
because I'm being
you.
honest with what
No,
I
but
believe.
that's
You know what I
you.
mean?
But the problem is that is you believing something for bad reasons. And that is also a huge problem. I'd say that's a bigger problem than you lying about whether or not you thought 2 plus 2 is 5 or 2 plus 2 is 4.
yeah,
I'm not. So are you saying that the 2 plus 2 equals 5 thing, that was a bad example. Are you saying that there's
yeah.
situations where you can like wholeheartedly believe something to be true, but you should say it's false just to like appease
No, the
people?
point
Like, are there
is,
any?
no, the point is
Yeah,
there are always going to be times where your assumptions are going to be wrong. And so the question here is,
sure.
what do you do knowing that this particular circumstance you could be wrong? How do you handle the possibility of being incorrect? And how do you move forward with that? And how do you apply your logic across the board? Because if you're going to be consistent, you're going to be able to navigate that in every situation. Like with trans people, I believe that trans people are who they say they are. My logic is consistent across the board because when someone tells me who they are, I will most likely believe them, and I will treat them the way that they ask me to treat them, and that's going to be consistent. Your logic kind of goes around in circles and gives assumptions and then exceptions for certain people, uh, but then targets a different group of people in a different way. So the issue here is, how can you consistently navigate these situations where you could be wrong, and are you able to correct yourself? And it sounds like you're not. It sounds like you're doubling down on your assumption instead of letting yourself learn that you were incorrect and change your perspective.
I think we're kind of. You're not really addressing the point that I'm making. That you're like, what? Let me back up for a second because I think we're not really talking to each other exactly. What is gender? Like,
What do
what
you
is?
think gender is?
Because I'm just kind of when I refer to a male or not a male, excuse me, when I refer to a man or a woman, I I'm talking about something that exists socially that is like contingent upon like other people in that community that like affirm or deny if you're a man or a woman. It's not just something that
That's
like
not gender.
you
That
feel, therefore it is.
gender
You know what I mean?
gender is not has nothing to do with other people. Gender is a person's individual belief of what they are internally. What you're expressing is gender expression. Those are two different things. There's gender identity and gender expression.
I'm still
Do you
confused.
understand that
So
those two things are different? Do you understand that those are different though? So, for example, a tomboy, a person who identifies as a woman but is more masculine, is how the gender is the woman and the expression is the masculine. Do you see that there's a
I don't
difference
really
between
see
gender identity and gender expression?
I don't really see the point of making that distinction because the person that you're talking about, they're
So
just
what
a
is a
woman. Like they're
tomboy
not a
then?
woman asterisk. Like they're just a woman. You
So
know what I
what
mean?
is a tomboy? So what is a tomboy in society?
A tomboy is like a yeah. The way I understand the word tomboy is a girl or a woman who like uh has like interests or like tendencies or whatever that we traditionally describe as masculine, right?
Okay, great. So that was their gender expression versus their gender identity. You just told me what it was. In the definition of a tomboy, you told me gender woman, expression man or masculine. So those two things are different.
No, because they don't like again a
What is a
woman
femboy?
who.
What is a femboy?
I'm sorry.
What is a femboy?
Femboy is just Femboy is just the opposite of a tomboy, isn't it? It's a male who acts feminine,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah, so there you
Yeah.
go. Those are 2 different things, right? There is a gender and then there's the expression. They're 2 different
But
things. Gender expression, gender identity. They
but you would
don't
agree
have
with
to
me
be the
that
same.
a woman who likes to play baseball and follows sports and drinks, Miller Lite, that isn't more or less of a woman than like, a woman who like is a fucking princess or something. Like they're both equally as
You're right.
woman as each other,
You're
right?
right
Yeah.
because they both identify
Yeah.
as a woman. You're getting it, right? So the
It's
same
not because
thing
they
goes
identify
for
as a woman, it's
somebody who's
because they're a woman.
no, so Thomas, what are you? Are you a man, woman, non-binary?
That's not up to me. What do you think I am?
What do you mean it's not up to you? I'm not gonna make an assumption about your gender. You tell me.
No, because I don't identify as a man or a woman. I'm me.
So
So if
you're
you think I'm a man, then I'm a
non-binary.
man. If you think I'm
Okay,
a woman, then
so
I'm a
you're
woman. I'm sorry?
non-binary. So you're
No.
non-binary. You are
No, I'm
non-binary
I'm saying
because
that
your gender
whether
identity is based on other people's perception, meaning that you don't
yeah,
care what people decide. So you are non-binary. You go by they them until somebody decides that
no.
what you want to be is what you are and you just accept what that is because you don't have a gender identity. Your gender identity is whatever. So at that point, I don't have any reason to believe that you fall in the binary whatsoever because you're just whatever. So you're just this amorphous gender identity blob that walks through the life and doesn't have any idea of what you are inside, which is different than most
No,
people. A lot of people will call that agender. You may be agender, which is fine. If you're agender, that's great. You just don't identify with the gender at all, and you have no identity whatsoever within your gender, and you just decide to express whatever you want to express, and you just let people just identify with you as that. There's a lot of trans people I know that are exactly like that, Thomas. So I get it. I understand people who are agender, and that's okay if you're agender. I get it.
you're not. You're putting words in my mouth. I'm not. This is
No, you
this
didn't
is the
tell me what your
problem I
gender
have.
identity is. You didn't tell me what your gender identity is. You said you don't have one, which is a gender, meaning you have no gender. That is a real thing
No,
in
and
society.
yeah,
So
Yeah, and
what
you
is
told
your
us
no, and I'm,
gender,
gender
I'm
was
saying
whatever
Thomas?
we thought you were.
I'm saying that your identity does not determine your gender. That generally speaking, right? The reason that I
So you,
understand myself to be a dude isn't because I internally feel like a dude. It's because my entire life I've been treated like a dude and like I'm socialized as a dude. So like as far as I'm
so
fucking aware,
are
I'm a
you
dude.
a
Like if I go
man?
somewhere,
Are you a man?
if I go to some like
Are
foreign country tomorrow and everyone thinks I'm a woman there, like sure, I'm a woman there. Like what me identifying as
so
a male doesn't like I don't expect them to give a shit about that. You know what I mean?
so you are essentially a gender. You don't have a gender, which is
Everyone's
fine.
agender. Yeah.
You should be proud of that. You should be proud that
I
you
mean,
have that we've discovered something about yourself today because most people
if
don't
by
walk
that,
around the
yeah,
cis people definitely don't walk around the world saying what your gender is what you tell me it is. Right? And so essentially you're not cis. So
if
you are
by that,
something
if by what I
else.
just told you, if by what I just told you, I'm quote unquote agender, then I feel like everyone's agender, right?
No,
Like I
no, no,
don't
no,
like.
no. Like that's like saying everybody is cis or everybody is trans. No, not everybody's agender. Agender people identify with no gender. You identify with no gender. You have no gender. You have no internal sense of a gender identity, which is fine, right? And maybe that's why this is such a conflict for you, that you have no connection to a
Yeah,
gender identity whatsoever. And that's why I think it may bug you because the concept of gender identity is so foreign to you that you may not understand why people identify as a gender because you don't have one yourself, which is completely fine. I would really look into agender stuff. Like I would go on Reddit pages and forums to figure out what agender is and find other people that identify the same way you do that have zero understanding of why people identify in any gender whatsoever, which I think this is a pretty big breakthrough. Now I think I understand why this is such a very foreign topic to you because I don't think you have an internal
you don't
sense
have
of
to be
gender.
condescending about it. We can just talk. The whole thing about
I'm just
the
saying,
whole thing
you
about
don't have an
gender.
internal sense of
I'm
gender,
sorry.
do you? Do you have an internal sense of gender? Yes and no.
Gender's fake news. It doesn't exist. Like, I don't believe in
Exactly.
something that
Agender
doesn't
person
exist.
would say
Like,
that. Exactly. So that's it's like an asexual person, right? So an asexual person has no attraction to
uh,
people in a sexual way. And so when you're talking to somebody who's like, "Oh, dude, I'm really attracted to this person. Do you know what that is?" And an asexual person is like, "I don't know what you're talking about. That's weird. People have sex. Why did they do that? I don't understand why that is. Why do you like that? It's so strange." That is an asexual
wait, so can
person,
I
could have that reaction. So it makes sense that you would have that reaction to trans people or gender in
let me
general.
just follow this logic for let me just follow this logic for a second. So
Uh-huh. Sure.
let's say I'll take back what I said about gender. I identify as a dude. I'm a cisgender straight white male in America, right? Um,
Okay.
if I
Is that what you
yeah.
identify
So
as?
if I
Okay, great.
I'm sorry.
So let's put
I'm,
so
I'm
so
not
pro
I'm not
so you so
I'm
you
not
prefer the
saying what I
pronouns
said
he
is
him.
wrong. I'm just for the sake of argument. I'm putting that on the back burner for a second. Um, if
Okay.
I meet someone, right, who I take to be a woman and I'm attracted to them, and then that person and like they're a biological woman, right? And like I see them and like based on what we were saying before, like as far as I can tell, they're a woman, right? And then this person, I start a conversation with this person, and then this person says, "Yeah, my name's Mike, and I use he/him pronouns, and I'm still attracted to them because they're a biological woman." Does that make me like bisexual or gay?
Are they a
I mean,
trans man?
They look they resemble a woman, but they identify as a man. So within the framework of what we're
Okay.
talking about,
yeah.
their gender would be
That
male,
would
and
be
I'm saying that me as being a cisgender
yeah. So
male,
you would be
I'm
attracted
attracted
to
to
a man.
them because they resemble a
Yeah,
woman.
you'd
So
yeah,
would
you'd
that
be
make me
attracted
like
to a
Be attracted
bisexual?
man.
to a man. Yep.
Yeah, you'd be attracted to a man, yeah. Which is fine.
Yeah, but that's kind of ridiculous though, because nothing about that person other than the fact that they told me that they're a man. Like I don't recognize them as a man. The only thing that makes them a man is that they said that their name is Mike. You know what I mean?
Well,
But
Thomas,
they
sexuality isn't so rigid either. It's not a thing where
yeah.
you're not attracted to every man on earth or every woman on earth. Like you can be a straight person and be attracted to a man, and that doesn't mean that you're not primarily straight. Like there's some nuance here, and I think your position is so devoid of nuance that this is where we're running into issues.
Yeah. So Thomas, like, do you understand what we're talking about here? It's about all the context. There's more to humanity than all of this other stuff that you're trying to impose on it. If someone is a man, right, and they have the trappings of a man, they identify themselves as a man and all of that, and you're still attracted to them, despite the fact that they are manly in the way that they are, then yes, you are attracted to a man at that point, and that's okay.
Let me
But if you're
I just kind
but
of
if
want to
you're
address
straight,
the
then you would
go ahead, yeah.
say if if you're straight and you say, "Sorry, I'm not into dudes," then that's fair. I bet it would be a big
Yeah,
turn
I
off
guess
to
just
you if you were attracted to somebody that you thought was a woman, and then they were just like, "Oh, actually, I'm a man." And you're like, "Oh, okay, well, never mind. I'm not really attracted to you now."
yeah, I just gonna go back to what I was saying a second ago that before gender ideology kind of took the kind of
There
mainstream
is
as
no
it has
gender
for the past like 20 or
ideology.
so years.
There's no such thing as an ideology. It's just trans people became more in the public view and people started coming out. That's not an ideology. That's like saying homosexuality is an ideology. That's silly. That's not a thing.
Well, no, because
It's just trans
the
people
idea of
exist.
gender existing as this thing that like you identify as and like this whole like that has come into existence incredibly recently because
No,
of
no,
ideology.
it's been around since
No.
Mesopotamia. It's been around since Mesopotamia. Like there was a Roman emperor that wanted to be called a queen and wanted bottom surgery. There's been Egyptian carvings depicting trans people as well. This isn't a new phenomenon, Thomas. Just like
No, the way
homosexuality
that
isn't a new
yeah, that
phenomenon. Like
the way that it's
sexuality isn't a
treated the
phenomenon
way that it's
either.
treated in
It's just a
society
thing
now
human
is
are.
absolutely a new phenomenon.
It's just more
The
accepted in
treatment of
society, just like left-handed wasn't accepted in society either, but then we were like, "Oh, actually, people can be left-handed and it's okay and they're not possessed by the devil, so yes, you can be left-handed," and then people got accepted into being left-handed, and then more people came out as left-handed.
Yeah,
Yeah, I guess
Thomas, it's a little
wouldn't the
thing
fact
called
that
learning.
historic
It's a thing called learning new information.
there's a
That's
difference
what this
between
is. You
learning.
learned more.
I mean, yeah, there's a difference between learning information and just learning things that someone made up that isn't necessarily true, right?
It's not made up. Women
Sure it is.
and men and people have been in society. Trans women, trans men, non-binary people have been in society. Just because it's gotten more language and people are able to discover it easier about themselves because there's entire communities now, doesn't make it that it's brand new. It's always been there.
The
Like,
idea
are
that
you
someone
disagreeing the
who,
fact
like, for
that
example, a
it
biological
exists?
male identifying as a woman, the idea that they're like that it's incorrect to call them a man, that is a new thing. Like
It's not
all the
incorrect.
historical
It's just what
examples of
is.
like gender divergence and stuff like that, it wasn't we didn't
Tom,
understand the divergent person as just the gender they identify as a point blank period. That is a new phenomenon.
yeah, that's essentially what it was. There were people who were trans in the past. Like, do you think that with homosexuality, people used to say the same thing that you just said, Thomas? Like you realize that humans evolve and discover things about themselves as communities, and then they are able to move forward in life.
Well,
Are
no,
you
it's the
against
exact same thing with
humanity
homosexuality. Up until like
evolving
100 or
past
so years
that?
ago, homosexuality was understood as a form of male aggression. It wasn't seen as something on par with like
So
men and
what
women
is
having
what
sex,
so what were the
like at all.
Romans then? What were the Romans? The Romans, like, they had sex with each other all the time that were
The Roman
homosexual.
wait, no, so the Romans, you were only it was only acceptable homosexuality was only acceptable if you were the active
So it did
party. It
exist.
wasn't like if you
So
were
it
a
did
Roman
exist.
dude and you liked getting like railed from behind, like that was not acceptable in any way, shape, or form.
What are you talking about, Thomas? Like, that is so silly. That is so
Yeah, we're
silly.
Thomas, do you have sources for your information, or are you just gonna say stuff?
That is so funny,
Yeah,
Thomas.
read a
Like
Wikipedia
Thomas.
article. It's common
Oh my
information.
god.
Like,
It's like
Wikipedia is your
Thomas.
citation for that? You're gonna
Yeah,
cite
yeah.
well, yeah, I
Wikipedia.
don't. Do you really expect me to
Nice.
have a study to just like pull up off the like literally go on Wikipedia
No,
and
Yeah,
no,
look up
Thomas,
Roman
Thomas. It's
actually,
sexuality?
just
I
Being an
expect you if you're
active
going to cite
yeah, go
something
ahead.
from if you're
Thomas
gonna
demanded I
cite
had a
something
study
from a
last
field.
week when he called in.
Yeah,
Well,
if you're
I
gonna
Okay,
cite something from a field,
whoever the
especially
engineer
one
is,
that
you
you are not
provided
an
so
expert
much
in.
misinformation on that call.
No,
It's
if
not even funny. I am looking so much forward
if
to debunking everything you said because I
Thomas,
actually did read the Yale review. I looked into the cast review and like 98% of the stuff you said is just flat out misinformation. So that being said, I'm having a conversation with these two people right now, so we can address that later.
yeah.
Um,
Hey,
but yeah, no,
Thomas,
if you look up Roman sexuality, like this is like pretty easy to find out
okay,
yeah,
information.
look
okay.
it up on
All right.
Wikipedia. Yeah, you're such
Yeah,
a good
Thomas.
historian. You use
Thomas,
Wikipedia to be your
I'm just
source.
gonna say this. I'm just gonna say this because we are running long on this call and we do need to move on to another caller. I will say this, Thomas, like you have to understand that trans people have existed, homosexuality has existed, left-handed people have existed throughout history. This isn't a new phenomenon that has happened. It's just that language has evolved to better describe humanity. That is a good thing. And it is good that humans are able to describe things better. Like before, there wasn't even color, like they didn't even have a color blue because they didn't understand what the color blue was back in ancient history. But guess what? Blue always existed. Just because people didn't have the word for blue doesn't mean that there was no blue skies. But everybody used to talk about it being gray and the ocean being blood red like wine. This is just basic human evolution of language to better understand ourselves because humans are a very complex animal and we deserve to be able to have language that describes all of our lived experiences regardless of where we are on that spectrum. That is why when we were having the conversation earlier about you saying you have no gender identity turned into the conversation about you may be a gender because there is a word for what you were describing, and that is agender, somebody who doesn't identify with an internal sense of gender identity. That's what you were describing. And then when I said, hey, this is what you are, then if this is what you feel internally, you then had to say, actually, I'm a cis straight dude because that's how I actually feel, because it doesn't feel good when somebody misgenders you. Just like I was misgendering you when I was calling you a gender because you gave me the description of an agender person. Do you understand why I had to go that route with you, Thomas? Because it didn't feel good when I was assuming what your gender was, did it?
Well, you were being
You called
disingenuous
it
though, so it's not the same
is
thing.
that no, no, it wasn't being disingenuous because agender is an actual thing. Regardless if you believe it or not, it didn't feel good, did it? Because you
No, because
think
you
I was
just
being
said that the reason you
pedantic
did
and
that was to, like,
disingenuous.
do this, like, experiment to see how I felt about it. It wasn't like, if you
What but
actually thought I was agender, we can have a conversation
I
about that, but
actually
that's not
thought
what
I
that's not what you
actually
were
thought
doing.
you were agender. I actually thought you were agender because you were so clueless about the idea of someone having a gender identity.
Do you still think I'm agender? Because my position hasn't changed.
Okay, then yes, I do think you're agender because you have zero idea what it's like to have a gender identity. And
That's
that's
fair,
why
and,
it's
like, here's
very
the thing
hard
is
for
that if
you to
you
have this
actually think
conversation.
that, that's you and like I said, like, if you actually think that and then you were to turn around and call me, like, a cisgender, like, male or whatever, you would be lying, and, like, I wouldn't want you to do that. So
Well,
if
I
you
thought you
actually think that
said
I'm
that you
agender, then
were a
I'm
cisgender
happy to
man.
be agender in
I
your
Hey, I thought
understanding.
you said you were a cisgender man at the end, but if you are just doing a hypothetical, then I still think you're an agender person because only an agender person would have this much confusion around the idea of someone having an internal sense of gender.
I think literally
We're
anyone who
also
lived 100 years ago would be in the same boat that I'm in, but we can,
Thomas, we're
What?
also we're
yeah.
also trying to
No.
respect we're also trying to respect you as you told us your pronouns were whatever. So
Actually,
we're
I said
not
when I called
lying
in that my pronouns were US and
by
A, and I was
respecting
calling
what
from
you
Guam, so
told us.
screener got that wrong. But
So Thomas, what are your pronouns then?
US and A, USA, my pronouns.
So you are agender.
US and A are pronouns. No, that's not
Are you
agender. My
no,
pronouns are
they're not
US and A.
pronouns. Those are
What do
proper
you know,
those are proper nouns, dude.
Thomas? I think you need to have a
Like
grammar lesson. What do you know what a
yeah.
pronoun is?
Yeah, I just told you my pronouns are US and A.
No, that's not how
Do you know
you
the
know
part
how
of
we're talking about
speech?
the speed limit thing?
Yeah, do
You're
you know
talking
what the
about the
part of
speed limits,
speech of a
right?
pronoun is?
No, so I'm
Why are you
saying that
okay with
if
lying
you're
to us?
talking about me and you're saying Thomas went to the store, if you're using a pronoun instead of my name, you would say S went to the store because my pronouns are US and A.
So are you lying to us right now?
So
Because
you
that's
use
like the speed limit
neopronouns.
being 55. Yeah, so you use
So
neopronouns. I'm telling you, you are not
yeah,
beating the not cis allegations right now, Thomas. Like
yeah.
honestly,
No,
you still
I
have
am
not proven
transgender.
to
I
me
don't
on
use
this
he him
call.
pronouns. I use US and A. I'm transgender.
Great.
Yeah,
I
Thomas.
see.
So
This
yeah,
is
so
what I'm. You
you're
need to
using
like.
neopronouns. You came up with new
Yeah.
neopronouns. If US and A
Great.
are your
Yeah,
pronouns, okay, so you're using
Okay.
neopronouns.
Great.
yeah, and I'm saying
Great.
that I was
Cool.
assigned male at birth, and it is incorrect to refer to me as a male because my pronouns are US
Okay.
and A. So if even with the
Okay.
register of
Great.
my
Okay.
voice and everything,
Hey,
if you call me a male,
how
you are
how
objectively incorrect because my pronouns are
Okay,
US and
great.
A.
Hey, you
Okay.
know what, Thomas?
Yeah,
Like we are an accepting group of people and we respect you
based.
and we would completely allow you to be able to say what you identify as and we're fine with this.
Based.
And if you're
That is
not
all I
and
want.
honestly like I with the way this conversation has gone, I don't I'm not getting a very cis idea from you because I know that cis men that I know and that would be very very upset with not being considered a man. So the fact that you are not okay, that you're okay not being considered a man, because you said you were assigned male at birth, shows all of us here, everybody in the chat, they're just like, yeah, this is great that you are able to discover this on this. And I think we really were able to connect very deeply with the fact that you may be an agender person because you have no understanding of internal gender and that you are experimenting with neopronouns, and that's great. And we're excited for that journey for you, Thomas. And I hope you're able to lock that in and be able to
Definitely.
have conversations with people. So yeah. So all
Yeah.
right, Thomas. So you
Well,
have a
I
wonderful
just want to
rest of
thank
your
you guys
day.
for validating my internal sense of my gender identity, and I look forward
Oh,
to
so
my
you
new
do
life
have a
as a
gender identity.
transgender, non-conforming they them person. I appreciate it.
Okay. Oh, they're they them now. Okay, great. Awesome. All right. See ya.
Yep. Workers of the
Hey, they said they're they them. This person is having a real struggle with their internal sense of gender identity. Okay, like it's okay. It's okay. We have a lot of people that find themselves on this show. I mean, we've had many people come out as they them. Usually it's sometimes they have a situation where they're like, "Oh, I don't understand this gender stuff." And then a few calls later they're like, "Yeah, I've been they them this whole time." And it's like, "Yeah, we have that happen all the time." So yeah, we'll just have that and it just makes sense. So I do love the
All right.
fact that it was like I do love the fact it was like, "Oh, you're condescending, you're condescending." It's like, "Oh, is it because I'm misgendering you with agenderness? I'm sorry. Is
Yeah.
that not feel good? Does that not feel good? Is that you're I'm literally just affirming what you
I
say?"
also I also wonder how much of it too, if you would say if it was condescending, if it wasn't a woman telling him that. Like, I wonder if part of I wonder if there's some misogyny there too, in thinking that you were being a bossy woman or something, talking down to him. But
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure, for sure.
gender affirming
I got
misogyny.
Gotta love it. Gotta love it. All right. Well, that was fun. So let's go ahead and get into the poll last week. We
Yeah.
started hot. The last week's poll is: do you feel hopeful that trans people will largely be able to weather the Trump administration? Oh my goodness. So I'm actually kind of happy with these results. What are you thinking about, Ben?
Yeah, I understand the fear. It's a very rough situation right now. Um, so I'm not surprised that there are several people that say no, they don't think the trans people are going to make it through. I am happy that the majority of trans people who responded said that we'll be able to. That's definitely a mindset we need to have, because I don't want this to be like a self-fulfilling prophecy where we end up not being able to fight because we've already taken ourselves out. So that's at least encouraging, and I hope that we can band together and at least ride this out. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's some scary stuff.
It is scary stuff, but we have to have hope. And for all of you that said no, you don't feel hopeful, it's okay to feel that way. It's a tough time right now. Just know that our communities have gone through some pretty dark times in our society, and but now we are out there and we have more community to lean on. So if you are somebody who feels like you don't have hope, make sure you find community and build resiliency. Resiliency is our strength as the trans community in particular. And look how many cis people say yes, there's hope. Find those people too. There is a
Mhm.
lot of folks that are also allies that want to affirm you. So yeah. So this week's poll: should health clinics sacrifice care for trans youth to prevent the loss of funding to care for trans adults? Yes, no. This poll will be going onto the chat. We'll revisit it after we take a call or two. We just wanted to go ahead and get the show started um, very
Yeah.
quickly. So lines are still open. So if you'd like to call in, please do so. We always try to prioritize calls that have critical points of view about transness or any of the or even political stuff. As I am a very political person, I'm always willing to have those calls as well. So if you're MAGA and you want to have a conversation, let's go. I'm ready. Let's do that. I'm always happy to do that as well. So Ben, what call do you want to do?
Um, I don't have a huge preference. If you want to pick one, there's a
Okay,
lot
we'll
of
just go down the
advice calls
list.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll just go down the list here. We'll start with Raven, she, her from Michigan. You're live on the line. How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Doing good. So, what would you want to talk about today?
Um, I wanted to talk about how I think how everything has been like blowing up about the trans debate in the public sphere, in politics, everything else has led more people to realize that they themselves are trans.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I definitely agree. I know I was tongue in cheek with the last call. But one of the things that is very true is there's a lot of people who presumed to be cis this whole time that had definitions and words are like, oh wait, there's an actual thing that exists that is non-binary. Oh wait, there's an actual thing that exists that is trans. And I'm sure that there were people on this call when I was saying agender. People are like, "Wait, what's agender?" And they may even be able to think about themselves. So, it just like any societal movement, I think that conversations, even though if they're hurtful and painful, especially in the public sphere, will always lead to more people discovering themselves. It's phenomenon that we've been able to experience even with left-handedness like we were talking about earlier, or when Harvey Milk came out as gay back in I think the 70s. Yeah, I believe it was 70s. And then you also have all the amazing advocates that in the past were open and out and let that happen. But yeah, do you have any thoughts yourself, Raven?
Yeah, I mean, I am a trans woman myself, and like I grew up thinking I was a cis straight man, but like in the back of my head, I'd always questioned like I don't feel like I associate with all of these groups and everything in school that like they're just putting me with the boys. But as somebody who's also identifies as a lesbian, I thought it was more of a like a sexual thing. And so differentiating that like gender and sexual side of things was a huge eye opener to me. That was something that like I thought was I'm pushing this down because I think it's maybe some like perversion or whatever, and it's wrong to think this. And then I realized much later in my life that no, it's something more about myself rather than who I'm attracted to.
Mhm. No, I had this similar experience myself. I think it's very common, I call it comp cishet, where you're just like, oh, I'm attracted. It's society says that I'm supposed to be a guy and I'm attracted to women, so I guess this is okay. And it's a very weird feeling. That's one of the reasons I think I came out so late personally at 34. Was a lot of that comp cishet mentality, just like a cisgender woman who is in relationships with men because it's comp het. And there's like, oh well, I guess I'm okay with this, but really once they are able to explore their sexuality, they're like, oh, actually I'm a lesbian. And it takes a long time for people to kind of get out of that because of societal understanding. And it's when you have more acceptance, people have the ability to explore their own identities. And I think political movements and political conversations can allow that to be so. So a lot of people that came out as queer once marriage equality passed too, because they were like, "Oh my gosh, this is legal. I guess I should give it a try because I feel this," and then boom, they're in, right? And that's how some people do it.
Yeah, and
Right. Uh,
there's definitely this layer too where like as someone who is socialized female, um there is there's this interesting struggle with like not being happy with being a woman in society and thinking that it's normal to be unhappy with being a woman in society, and so then get into the depth of your like understanding your dysphoria because you equate your dysphoria with the dissatisfaction that most women have with our society. And so that was something that took me a long time to kind of deal with because and also I identify as asexual, and so it's like a case where women in our society are told you're not supposed to be happy, you're not supposed to be doing all the things you want to. If you don't do the things you want to, like no one cares. You're not supposed to like sex, you're not supposed to like your relationship. And the way especially religious women would portray their relationships, like they'd be on Facebook saying like airing out all their dirty laundry, saying, oh yeah, well, I have to live with this person, like. And I didn't understand for the longest time that, like, no, they chose that relationship. Like a lot of them are happy in their relationships, and they're just being shitheads because they're trying to fit in with a society that wants them to be unhappy. um and so coming out of that and actually thinking to myself like, no, I don't identify with being a woman. And you like the things I was unhappy with were different things sometimes than what cis women were unhappy with, but we weren't able to communicate that because society had such a way to normalize that dissatisfaction. And so I think part of that too, like within the trans movement and within the feminist movement, of women actually airing their grievances with society and saying no, like we actually do want certain things, like we want to be happy in relationships, we want to feel safe in relationships. um I think more of that awareness has helped people to put themselves on different places in the spectrum instead of just saying, well, I just don't identify with what the society wants me to be.
Right. And so, like, um, sorry, I was just thinking to myself, like, there's so many things about, like, how I was socialized as a boy or man growing up, and it was just like, it was very lonely and very, like, lack there was a huge lack of affection and emotion in my life, like, growing up in general. And so, like, since coming out and being more confident in myself, not only am I, like, um, more, eh, like, happy with how I'm presenting and everything, but I'm able to, if like, show that affection, like, like platonic affection to people a lot more easily and feel a lot less like pressure in the back of my head to, like, keep a distance, or like, oh, am I creeping this person out or whatever.
Yeah. Well, I'm just happy that, I relate a lot with you, and that you're able to be yourself, and even in the stark times, still be able to find that joy is, I think, incredibly powerful, and we need it more than ever.
Oh yeah, we definitely do. I I've like, in all of my workplaces since, like, coming out, I've had people like, open up to me about, like, being some version of queer, whether it be trans or bi or whatever. And it's something that I'm very proud of, like, being able to be that openly trans person, to create that space for people, even if, like, I was in, like, central Michigan, where it was a very mixed population of, like, red and blue. So it's been a very gratifying feeling for me. I yeah, sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. It is. It's nice to know your place, and it's important for all of us to know, and be able to live in society freely as who we are. and so it's inspirational for sure. But well, thank you, Raven. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about?
Yeah. So that one poll, the first one we pulled up, um, I feel like they like trans people will get through this because
Mhm.
throughout all of history, trans people have always survived and existed and persisted. And that's a history that a lot of people don't know nor talk about because it's just not in like any sort of history classes outside of I like maybe even like gender specific college courses, which I unfortunately was never able to take.
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, it's absolutely. Um, let's see. Was there a question in that?
Oh,
Just
sorry.
curious.
I,
It's okay.
I,
I'm sorry. I'm also getting distracted by chat, so I please forgive me if I miss the point. It's
no.
not you. I promise.
I I was just wondering, like, okay, how would you like present more queer history into more of like a common core education, like a general public education?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think a lot of general ed usually has some form of humanities course, and I do wish that we would, like, be able to, like, make it more mandatory. Yes, I am for, like, inclusive, sexual education, gender education in schools, like, publicly, when you're, like, growing up. But in the humanities, I think that it's actually okay for people to be able to select which humanity courses they want to take. So, like for example, when I was going through college, humanity course that I chose was women's sexuality and health. And it was no, it was called women's sexuality and body. And I was still presenting masculine at the time, and I was like one of like three people in the class that was like that, and I was a woman too, I guess, in that whole situation. But it was very important for me to be able to have that class and understand the experience in a very academic way, that also kind of reflected my own in a lot of ways. Because it sure was funny how I was very, very into like the trans women modules, and I was like learning so much about the experience of trans women in that class. But I do think that there's importance for people to study race if they choose that humanity, or choose some other humanity that they're interested in, because I think it's good to
Oh
have a
yeah.
good mix of people that choose different things, so that way we're more rounded as humanity. I just think that and I'm a big college nerd. I love college. And it's not for everybody, but for me it definitely was for me. And I do love the spirit of education in university, where everybody's kind of learning different things, and then you go and have lunch and you talk about the things that you learned. Yeah, I'm that kind of nerd. Okay, everybody, like, I'm sorry. But so yeah, it is something that I think is so good about it. So I wouldn't say that we have to make that mandatory in a college setting, but I do agree that humanities course needs to be required in general ed. But let students choose the thing that makes them more interested. But when it comes to public school, they should all learn about the different things for people: race, gender, sex, and all of the above type, and sexual orientation. I think it's important, and that's just general knowledge of your fellow people on the planet. But yeah, Ben, do you have a thought on this?
Right.
Yeah, I think definitely like just having overall DEI like integrated within the majority of coursework like is a way to kind of handle some of that. Like I don't think there like I kind of agree with Josie, like there doesn't need to be a set like mandatory thing like a mandatory class about like LGBTQ stuff for everybody, but like having just like kind of well-rounded DEI education like sprinkled throughout, and then more humanities. I think I would agree with that.
Yeah,
Yeah. No,
absolutely.
I mean, I graduated high school in like 2019, and there outside of like a couple things here and there where there were like different races presented. There really wasn't anything where other sexualities or different genders were presented in any of my coursework growing up. And of course, COVID hit during my second semester of college, so I ended up dropping out. So I didn't really get to experience a lot of that college, like diversity and actual learning, unfortunately. Um,
Yeah.
it it was really hard, and like I feel like uh it would be beneficial for people in like more of a that common core education growing up to at least have more of that exposure of these different things,
I
because
agree.
like I mean, funnily enough, two of my exes, like before I came out, what everybody was like, they had told everybody that they were lesbians until they asked me out. And I just think that's kind of funny. Like, they, queer people just kind of clock each other.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, which I think is pretty cool that we have such a deep culture and as queer people that we're able to clock each other just by like a certain glance across the room. I think that's a really cool thing. I noticed that a lot. So I'm running for political office right now, and there was this trans woman. She kept glancing over at me and I kept glancing over at her. I know she clocked me and I clocked her, but I didn't want to be like, here's my card, I'm trans and I'm running for office, make sure you support me. And I didn't do it and I should have, but it was like I didn't want to be like, I clocked you and I'm trans, so you better support me because I'm trans. And I was like, no, I better not do that. And I just walked off the trade. And I was just like, damn it. I feel like I missed an opportunity there, but I also didn't want to be the weirdo of being like, "Here, we're on the same team, vote for me." So yeah, it was interesting, but yeah, I do find that interesting.
Where are you running for office at?
I'm running in Montgomery County, Maryland. And yeah,
Gotcha.
josieformaryland.com is the website, and everybody, I'm about $600 away from 200 and I'm sorry, from $25,000. So everybody that's listening, go to josieformaryland.com, donate, get me over the edge this show. Anyways, yes, thank you for letting me plug that. Awesome. Well, Raven, it was great chatting with you.
Yes, thank you for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. Call in again. All right. Talk to you later.
All right,
Bye.
bye bye.
Bye. Awesome. Great. Do you want to do one more call and then go back to the poll results?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. All right. Let's see. I'm just making sure. Let's go with let's go with Koa. I believe I'm
Yeah, let's
pronouncing
go.
that name correctly. Well, we have
Hey,
Koa, she, they from Algeria. You're live on the line. Wants advice about seeking asylum as a queer person. Yeah. Hello.
hi, how are you guys doing?
Doing
Doing all right. How about
good.
you?
Did I
I
pronounce your
love you
name right?
guys.
Koa?
Yeah, you're
Aw.
pronouncing it right.
Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you. I appreciate
Yeah,
appreciate the love.
yeah.
So yeah, so what do you want to talk
Yeah,
about? Yeah, please.
yeah, I was wondering if you guys had any advice or like resources, for someone that lives in a pretty hostile country to like queer
Mhm.
people, and I was looking at moving out somewhere else, and I was wondering if you guys had any thought on that or like experiences or advice if you could guys give me that.
Yeah. This is difficult. Because
Yeah.
even in the United States, it's difficult because like United States is not a very immigrant friendly place right now, which is one of those things that is
Mhm.
is very frustrating. But it is one of those situations where if you are having to if you have a passport and things like that and getting visas and having conversations, I think it's very important for you to research what I think country speaks to you that has, very good laws. I've heard,
Mhm.
Iceland has really great community, and there's like other places in Europe, other countries there as well that are very affirming, like New Zealand. It's a little hard to get there, but if you can, I know folks that have fled to New Zealand. I've also know folks who have fled to Canada, and had a good restart of their life there. It's definitely something that I unfortunately don't have a lot of experience with international work outside because I'm very US centric, and I do a lot of nonprofit work in the United States, but I have talked to folks
Mhm.
all over the world. I've talked to people in Thailand, and I've had Thai people tell me that their country's fairly affirming as well. In a lot of ways, and there's a lot of access to healthcare there that's fairly affordable. And so, really, it's about getting out if you're trying to leave your nation, but finding a place that will accept you, let you get a visa, and have some pathway to citizenship, I think is the most important piece because you don't want to get deported back
Mhm.
and then have to start the process all over again. But
Yeah.
it's a very hard time. Have you thought about any of those things? Have you looked into any of those things?
Yeah, I looked into Canada and also France, since it's like the closest
Mm,
country to me that
mhm.
is like more accepting. But like I've thought about like going in, as like a tourist, for example, and then maybe applying at the airport for like asylum, or someone else told me that I could also apply for like student, like I can go in as a student and then I could, go on from there. But I I I didn't really like do too much research into it.
No, that makes sense. I would also
Yeah.
research as well. And again, I'm not a legal expert or an immigration attorney, so please take everything I say with a
Mhm.
grain of salt. I would also research other Algerian communities and where there's already a community hub of people that have already went through the process and see if there's anything there. I know you're seeking something specific like asylum and things like that, which is it's a very legalistic term, and you have to prove that you are in danger, and if you were to go back, your life would be in danger in a lot of ways. At least in the United States, that's how we do it. And I wouldn't trust the United States at all right now. But
Mm.
I will say that I would reach out and maybe just do research about other Algerian communities and see if there's a place that you could land in that way. But I wish I could give you more advice on this. I really am just speaking as just another trans person to another trans person with empathy and love, and hoping you the best. But luckily there's a lot of online resources that I think you could reach out to figure out more. Victory, the Victory Institute, I believe, has an international program. I don't know if you've heard of the Victory Institute. It is
Nope.
okay. I would look into the Victory Institute. I think you can probably just find them online. I do their international
Mhm.
conference every year, where trans people from all over the world go. and attend and share their stories. I'm sure if you go to their website and send them an email I'm sure they'll probably direct you to their international group that will probably have other trans people from around the world that are probably going through the same thing that you're going through. So you can actually have the expertise of people who have lived experience dealing with what you're dealing with right now. I hope that's helpful.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'll definitely bookmark this and look into it, and I'll try to do like some more research. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's just like it's very miserable in here, like I just can't live
I
my
bet.
as myself, it's really hard to like be more myself in here. So that's why I'm looking into this. But
Yeah,
yeah, thank you guys so
absolutely.
much. You guys are so awesome. You guys do so much for like the queer community. I'm very appreciative of you guys.
Yeah. Well, thank you for trusting us and calling in, and let us know if you have any
Yeah.
updates. I'm sure the community would love to know how things are going, because I know there's a lot of viewers that watch this from all over the
hmm
world that I think could learn from your experience. If you're ever willing to call in again and share us what you've learned.
Yeah, for sure. I'll make sure to do that. Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Josie
All
and
right.
Dr. Ben.
Thank you. All right. Have a
Yeah,
great
thanks
rest
for
of your day.
calling.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Yep.
Have a
Bye
great
bye.
day.
You too. I wish we could just say, America, come to America. We accept you. Like, you know what I mean? It makes me so mad that I can't just give
Yeah.
that advice and trust my government to be what the promise was for United States to say, if you are in danger, come here. If you need protection, come here. This is a land of immigrants. This is where we come from. My grandparents were immigrants. And it makes me so angry that we have incredible human beings all over the world looking for refuge and we can't give it to them. It just makes me so angry that we are
Well, yeah, and
losing
people that are
humans.
becoming refugees other places at this
Yeah,
rate.
exactly.
Like,
At this rate, yeah, we're leaving this country, in a lot of ways. Makes me so
yeah.
angry. I wish we could do more. And we are not standing for what the freaking liberty says we're supposed to do. Um, sorry, I'll get a little
Yeah.
spicy. My patriotism is showing in a way that it's supposed to show for all of us, but
Yeah.
freaking government doesn't have the freaking understanding of what we stand for and where we come from. Um, yeah. Anyways, I'm a little heated. Sorry, friends.
No, you're good.
So yeah,
We're
yeah. So we had the poll. Let's look. So it looks like 9% of our audience here currently says that we should sacrifice trans youth healthcare to prevent the loss of adult trans care, with 91% saying no out of nearly 300 votes. Wh- What are your thoughts? You're a doctor in the medical
yeah.
system. No, tell me your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, kinda like, we discussed the last time we were on together, it seems like this country in general is just throwing away everyone's healthcare, and, uh the trolley problem isn't as much of a trolley problem. It's just there's all of the people on one side of the tracks and no people on the other side of the tracks, and this country is like, let's run over every single person instead of nobody. That's really what we're dealing with. But we do have this situation where clinics in hospitals, especially in more rural areas, are losing funding for standing up to the Trump regime. Places that are trying to offer trans healthcare are like at higher risk of losing funding, and so we are seeing clinics now that are faced with the situation of do they say, well, we'll stop doing care for trans youth, but we'll take the funding and then possibly still use it for trans healthcare for adults or use it for whatever other healthcare. So it's the case of who are you going to throw under the bus in order to keep staying standing? Like, what is the lesser of all of the evils? Um, do you need to, like, let's say you're the only clinic in your whole town. Like, are you going to, like, risk a part of your patient population to possibly save the majority of it? I don't think any of these decisions are right. I think I would hope that more clinics would stand up to this bullshit, and that people, like, that physicians, that administrators, that staff would uh start leaving clinics that are sacrificing like this. I know there was a protest at the Fenway clinic that was having a similar issue. um and the thing is, like, a lot of these places are doing this kind of under the table. Like, they're not as upfront about the fact that they're getting rid of services. A lot of people at the Fenway Clinic uh, went there for totally different reasons, had no idea that they were compromising on this issue, and then until they saw the protests. So um, I don't think that clinics should be sacrificing any of this. I think that they should be putting their feet down. And if they need to, like, yeah, it's a lot of funds that they need, but I think they could put more initiative into looking for alternative ways to fund it. I bet that the community members would be willing to put some money aside to help fund this. Like, there are alternatives to throwing your community under the bus, and especially if you are a primary care clinic, like, your job is to care for your community. That is your one job. And if you can't do that for the youngest people, the people who have no other way to get care, then what are you even doing? Why are you even in this field? Like, it just seems like a violation of their oath to serving their community. So that's my thought. The same way I feel about the Dems right now. Like, the people who should be doing better and are just, like, taking the easy way out. No, do your fucking job, people. There's my
Yeah.
little soapbox.
No, I agree with everything. I don't think I have much to add. Like, we just need to provide healthcare, and until a government official steps into your doctor's office, we need to provide it. Like that.
Yep.
That's about how it goes. Yeah, it's it's a shame. It's an absolute shame. And if you are a part of that 9% that voted yes, we should sacrifice healthcare, please call in. We'd love to hear your point of view
Yep.
and have a conversation. Great. Now make sure that you have liked and subscribed on the show if you've been liking what you've heard so far. We really appreciate that. Also, join the Patreon. The Patreon is a lot of fun. We do exclusive content for our patrons, so please do that as well. Also, $5 super chats. We will read them at the end of the show. So, and we also have a fun little competition. So on a super chat, make sure you put hashtag Team Ben or hashtag Team Josie, and we will tally up who gets more, and then the loser has to defend a silly argument, and we'll be putting that silly argument up soon to figure out which one we are going to have to defend. So make sure you do that as well. And, and lastly, we've already gotten 4 donations on the show for the campaign. So if you live in the United States and are a resident of the United States legally, then you can also donate to the campaign as well. So make sure you can do that. So yeah, and
Yeah, make
I'm
sure
gonna correct myself.
yeah,
Go
make
ahead.
sure you donate to Josie's campaign, but then vote team hashtag Team Ben in the side chat. So then we can both
Yeah,
win, right? Then we can both
yeah.
win.
Or you can just do Team Josie and just stay consistent. You don't have to be a flip flopper. You can just be consistent, Team Josie all the way until we are elected.
Sure, sure.
Yeah, yeah. So great. Well, I believe the lines are still open. So again, if we would be happy to take you. It looks like we got a call on the bottom of the list here. And we'll go
Yeah.
ahead and take this one. So we have Brian, him from New York, wants to talk about indoctrination and kids getting identified as trans too early. How are you, Brian?
Hey guys, can you hear me all right?
I can
Yep.
hear you perfectly.
Okay, cool. Uh, yeah. So if I should I just like launch into it? Um,
Yeah,
Yeah, go
you
for it.
you're talking about the claim about kids identifying as trans too early. Why do you think that?
well, okay. So I think this is like a complicated thing to talk about. I just want to be like clear about like where I'm coming from. Um, I think when people use the word indoctrination a lot, like I think a lot of people get like this image of like a bunch of people in like a shadowy basement in like rainbow colored robes, like doing like Illuminati shit. And like, that's not what I mean, of course. Um, as far as like trans identification goes in general, like I think, if you're an adult, um, yeah, identify however you want. I don't care about like biological arguments or whatever, you're free to do whatever you want, right? But like when it comes to kids, like I can see, a world where there's like um the possibility of like kids getting pushed towards identifying as trans like without like really needing it. I think when we're talking about teenagers, like particularly, like that's a time in your life where you're trying to figure out who you are as a person. I think a lot of teenagers like are self-conscious about who they are, about their public image, unhappy with like themselves and their body. um and like then you have the queer community, where you've got this group of people that say like, hey, if you have this particular identity, we will accept you unconditionally, we will give you positive reinforcement unconditionally. um and like I can see that being like alluring and like pulling people in and like um
But Brian, what's the problem? What's the let's say a teenager wants to join the queer community. What's the danger in that? What are you claiming is the danger? Do you think there is a danger?
I mean, I'm I don't really have like a super firm stance. I think like I'm not coming, to you with particular studies on hand about like this is how many teenagers are harmed by this. Oh, there was a teen in Utah who became trans and hurt themselves, and anything like that. Like
Sure.
I think it's like a question that is worth asking and reflecting about though.
So
Like
Well, but Brian,
Brian,
the reason why I wanted to ask you these questions was because like if you're going to say that there is that people are becoming like finding out that they're trans too early, there needs to be some kind of risk that we're evaluating for and some reason that we'd say like the danger in finding out too early, right? Like if there's no consequence, if nothing comes of it, then there's no real worry to even get into this at all. So, like when we're making risk assessments in medicine, right? Like usually there's an intervention that we're doing, and we have to say this is the situation. Is it better? Will it reduce harm to give this treatment, or would it cause harm to give this treatment? Right. So are
yeah.
you getting into more of a medical argument or are you getting into a social argument? This is kind of what I wanted to get to with that.
Um, I mean, I think a little bit of both, though, right? Because I mean, we're talking about like potential harm of like, you know, transitioning or transitioning too early.
Yeah. And so
Like
these are very different
some of it,
conversations. Like, these are totally different
Yeah.
conversations if we're gonna approach it completely, like, medically versus socially, because, like, the way that we assess whether or not somebody qualifies for medical and or surgical treatment, especially as a minor, is very, very, very rigorous. And we do have to demonstrate that this particular treatment is going to be beneficial for that particular person. It's very, very individualized. A lot of red tape is involved. Maybe what you're talking about more socially is teenagers who find a group of queer people. They start questioning their gender identity. They start expressing differently. They start interacting with people differently, which does not involve irreversible changes, right? Like, that's self discovery. And so, if you're going
Yep.
to
That's fair.
go down the social route, I'm going to argue, why do we need to intervene so much in that? Or are you going to demonstrate that there is a problem with that self discovery process or with them interacting with the queer community?
Well, I mean, yeah. So I mean, even if we take the medical side of things out of it, then I mean, you have a good point there. I mean, there's potential harm even on just the social side, though, right? Like, trans people are at a higher risk of violence. Like, I don't know the exact
Do you know
numbers, but
violence towards trans people, right?
Mhm.
yeah,
Okay, good. Want to be on the same page there.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, Josie, I think you wanted to
Yeah.
jump in.
Yeah. So no, it's fine. So Brian, a lot of and you've been very polite and great this call so far. So I just wanna I'm gonna take it in good faith that you really are concerned about the well-being of children. Okay, the well-being of our process and things like that. And of course it would be tragic if somebody was misdiagnosed with something and you know that type of thing. But a lot of the concerns that you were talking about, such as exploring, unsure who they are, depression, like it isn't a snap of the finger process and a trans person gets to come out as trans, especially in the youth in the youth realm. There's an entire medical apparatus that is inside of this process. Even on the social side of things, usually it takes about a year to 6 months, depending on when a person gets started on this, before the doctor is like, yeah, we're going to diagnose you with gender dysphoria, which is an entire medical diagnosis that then starts the wheels turning on the medicalization side of things, from puberty blockers, hormone therapies, to maybe even top surgery down the line, or whatever that process looks like, through the medical providers with the consent of the guardians of that child. So I think when we think about this, and just to be 100% with you, Brian, Ben and I are very, very well versed in the system that is involved, especially with trans youth. So please forgive us sometimes when we're just like, yeah, it's not like that, right? Because we know it's not like that. But I do want to ask you, are you familiar with of the process of a trans youth and the process of coming out as trans in all aspects, from social to to school to medical and all of that?
I mean, I would have to say not really, and that's kind of part of like
Uh-huh.
why I had questions in the first place. Like what you were just saying about like how you can sometimes be like, oh well, we just know these things. Like I don't, and that's kind
Yeah.
of part of it because like on the other side of things, you hear a lot, or you see a picture painted that isn't as controlled as what you are describing. You know?
Yes. Right.
Mhm.
Because think about it this way, Brian. I want to. So I do go into like a lot of like the details and about how transition goes, but I'm going to take a different route for the sake of the viewers, and we talk about this topic a lot. So, wouldn't it behoove the trans community and the queer community as a whole to get it right with particularly trans
Yes.
youth? Okay. So
Well,
if it
so
is in
I
our
could
best
see
interest, right? So
I could
let me
see
finish this point real quick.
in
Let,
some
let me
ways
let me
though,
finish this
like
point.
you could also
Hold,
make the argument that there could be benefit for like, the community to just increase their numbers, like by
no.
whatever
So
means.
let me
Like
let
I'm
me.
not
This is
saying
why I
that
want
that's
to
a
finish that
thing,
point.
but you could make the argument.
So Brian, let me finish this point, and then we can get to that other side of the conversation, right? This
Mhm.
the idea is trans people and trans adults in particular, a lot of us were trans kids too, right? We were trans youth. Like it was like, even though I transitioned at 34, doesn't mean that I didn't have the feelings at 8 years old that I was a girl, right? Or at least had the feeling of like, man, I wish I was born a girl at the time. That was my language back then, growing up in rural Texas, right? I didn't have the ability to explore. I didn't have the access to education to understand what these feelings were. I was just all people who transition, adults as well, youth and adults, actually got it wrong. And they're like, actually, I am cis and I'm not trans. Less than 1%. And so that's pretty good. That's pretty good numbers. Like when you're talking about serious medical intervention or social, changes and all the things, changing your names and all this type of stuff, there's a lot involved. A lot involved. So it's very rare that somebody, comes through and is like, I'm gonna do the thing, and then they're like, I'm actually wrong. Um, and just to give you perspective, like the average regret rate of any surgery across the board is about 20% across the board. Like that's usually how it goes. Like even heart conditions and knee surgeries, nose jobs, pregnancy, all of these have high regret rates. Yet trans interventions have less than 1%. And that is remarkable. Would you not agree with that, Brian?
I have heard that number before, and it is certainly like on the face of it a very impressive sounding number. But like I guess
So
part of
so
what
I'm
have
pulling up on
issue
my
with
screen real quick. Hold on, I'm pulling up on my screen right now is the health and well-being report from the US Trans Survey. It surveyed 92,000 trans people across the United States, every state, every territory. And that's where these numbers come from. This is
Mhm.
clear as day that trans people are happier with their satisfaction of life when they're given transition related healthcare and access to social transitioning and surgical care. So I just want to say I'm backing this up with evidence, but go ahead, Brian.
Yeah. I accept, I accept the study, and I've heard that before, so I don't think you're making anything up. I guess just the thing that I think occurs to me as a possibility, and I could be totally off base. Um, but basically, the way I think it sounds, or the way I think people talk about trans issues a lot, sounds very binary. Like, oh, this person's trans, oh, this person's not trans, and if they were trans, they were always trans and always meant to be trans. But like the way we talk about sexuality, right? Another facet of like the LGBT community, that I think we generally acknowledge as a spectrum, um, right? I I would imagine if we treat sexuality as a spectrum, then surely gender identity has to be, you know, in that
Do
same
though.
vein, right? It's even more
It is.
socially constructed than sexuality.
We do though,
So
Brian.
I think
Brian,
like
we have
the binary way of like approaching it doesn't really I think
Brian,
jive. Like I
Brian,
think
can
in
you hear me?
practice you'd probably have a lot of people that are cis right now that could be perfectly happy
What's
being
going on?
trans, and a
Can
lot
you
of
hear me?
people.
Very good.
Pardon?
Brian, can you hear me?
Yeah.
So we do treat it. It is a spectrum, right? Non-binary people exist. I don't know if you heard the caller earlier on, um, but we have a huge population of non-binary people, and even a spectrum of non-binary identities. There's also a spectrum of non-binary identities that range kind of right up against binary identities. There are demi girls, demi boys. There are gender queer people. There are gender fluid people. It is a spectrum, and I wonder if you have a lack of
Well,
exposure to the full breadth of the community, because if you were in the conversations that a lot of queer people are having, I don't think I've ever had conversations with the queer community that viewed it as binary. Like, when we say, like, oftentimes we will say like trans or not trans, but we include like that trans spectrum is very, very broad, right?
well,
And maybe we
I
don't
think,
communicate that as effectively uh with people outside of the queer community. But part of that too is that because the spectrum is so nebulous at times, like, if you're new to that conversation, we don't want to overload people who have never heard of non-binary people. We don't want to overload them with 10 different uh like 10 different terms on the non-binary under the non-binary umbrella, to then further confuse you. I think we tend to overly simplify that as a way to not overwhelm people in this conversation. Does that kind of
yeah,
make sense?
but those are different categories for people to fall into, but that's still like a bucket to assign someone into. What I sort of meant more was like spectrum of possibility, spectrum within the self. Um, like
No,
the
and that's
possibility of
what
space of like,
and that's what gender is. That is what gender identity is.
okay,
So I
Mhm.
think there's just
I
maybe
mean,
a
I
little
guess
misunderstanding of how we're defining gender and how we're using these terms and how we're teaching the youth about this. A lot of it is just finding who you are as a person, and then allowing ourselves to express that outwardly and to feel safe expressing that outwardly. So I think, like, this concept of indoctrination that is out there is really just people saying, "Hey, be yourself, whatever that looks like for you, and we're going to support you." That's what this conversation is. And at the end of the day, there are some people that are going to identify as trans, and they're going to identify as trans whether or not the community is there for them. The difference is those people who are already going to identify as trans, they're either going to suppress it and be miserable, or they're going to be able to come out and live authentically. We're not, this isn't about making cis kids trans. We don't want that. And in fact, the argument earlier, trying to suggest that we want more numbers within our community, that's not really the case. Like, you mentioned violence against trans people. There's a lot of downsides to coming out as a trans person. And I wouldn't wish a lot of this stuff on anybody. Like, the trauma that trans youth are going through, the trauma that trans adults are going through, I would not wish upon anybody. And I sure as hell would not wish that on somebody who did not need to go through that. Right? But if the dichotomy here is a person who already is under that trans umbrella, should they have to be miserable and hide it? Or should we help them through the struggles that society is putting them through and help them to live happy, healthy lives?
yeah,
Right?
and just
That's
to
what
be
we're coming.
clear, like I was not suggesting that that was like a real motivation. I was bringing it up as like, you know, a possible
Yeah.
like counter argument that people throw out, but like I don't actually buy into that like conspiracy brain uh level idea.
Sure. And I get it. I get that, Brian. But one of the things that it's kind of like, it's like there's a spectrum of that as well, right? Where they're like, "Oh, I'm not saying there are, rainbow or trans colored robes trying to get trans people up." But even in your retort when I was talking about doesn't it behoove the trans community to get it right because we don't want to be getting it wrong with people that are coming out as trans, and we want to give them the support and the medical system to give. But you said, doesn't it behoove us to get more numbers, right? And you did say that, so my counter is no, it doesn't, because at the end of the day, what we know from the studies and the numbers and everything that we do, and I professionally have researched trans communities across the United States, it's only about 1%, maybe 2%, like max, trans people across the United States. There's no interest for the trans community as a whole. That's why I always say there is no trans ideology, because it's just people being people and it's just data. Just like there are so many X number of people who live in Texas versus people who live in Rhode Island. Like, it's not, it's just existence of humans in a given territory. And what we do know is across the world, it's roughly only 1 to 2%, which is the population of Russia. If you say that's a lot, sure, yeah. But at the end of the day, we're not being like, let's get that number up to 10, everyone. Like, there's just not enough of us. Let's start, evangelizing transness, the people who aren't trans. That's never been our goal. We just want to make sure that the people who are trans get equal rights, equal protection to the law, healthcare when they need it, access to public spaces, and be able to live and be members of society that are productive and can serve the country and can, run for office, or, collect the mail, or, all the things that humans can do in the world. We want them to be there and be a part of it. So there's no interest in making that number more than 1 to 2%, because all we're doing is just studying the population. Your phone
That's
might be
fair.
asleep,
That's
Brian.
fair.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No,
Go
no, no.
ahead.
I'm
Yeah, I can
here.
hear you.
I was just processing what you were saying, and thinking about it.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, so isn't there still like, I mean, what you're saying makes sense, but like, isn't there still like uh some motivation to like um increase the numbers, even if it's just through like, allowing, creating that possibility space for people to like express
The
themselves, like that's just going to
No,
naturally increase.
No,
no,
that's just
because you
gonna
can
naturally
also,
increase.
well, and you can also, like, as far as improving the reach of our voices and being able to uh, improve awareness, we don't need people to come out as trans for that. That's why we talk to allies. That's why we build allyship with cis people. So, if anything, if we wanted to better improve our PR, so to speak, it wouldn't be necessarily to raise up more trans people, because people aren't listening to the trans people. It would be more advantageous to recruit cis people to do that. So, no.
Yeah. Yeah, and
Oh yeah,
Brian, the
actually
only
thinking.
thing that yeah, the only thing that trans people are interested in is just letting people have the access and understanding that identities exist and you may be trans or not. That's all. Like, we're not we just want people to know that that it is a thing that exists. And this is why I'll give you the other side of the coin here, Brian. So I shared that I didn't come out until 34 years old. I joined the Navy pre-transition. I, had an entire life pre-transition, and I was just always unhappy. There was always just something not right. It just didn't feel right. I never was truly happy. And I had to live with that burden for 34 years of my life. I didn't feel authentic to myself. I didn't have what I would say true happiness until I was able to be free and be the person that I am. And for me, I don't want anybody to go through that. I don't want people to have to force themselves into the closet. I don't want people to be able to say, "Oh, to live with that really hard journey that I had to go through." Because Brian, when I came out as trans, and I've shared this a couple times, but it's been a while on the show since I've done it. it was a do or die situation. And I hate to be so glib about it, but it was. It was either live as myself as Josie or die, and that's how stark it was. And I chose life. I chose to live my life as who I am. And I'm so grateful that I chose that decision to live who I am authentically. And I don't want people to have to make that decision. I want people to be able to just live their life without having to have that oppressive feeling of just this heaviness on your heart and shoulders, even though I was successful. I had a consulting firm, I had a political career. I served in the Navy as a reactor operator. In a lot of aspects, people would say that I was a very highly successful person, but I wasn't happy and it wasn't worth living. And so for me, my motivation is just to make sure people have the knowledge and understanding that the trans identity exists, and it's okay and it's fine to be trans, and it's okay. I love being a trans person. And it took me a long time to figure that out, and I don't want others to suffer that as well if they are trans. Right? There's the key word. If they are trans, I want them to live authentically as trans people, because everything else, at least in my experience, was hell.
Yeah, and like I'm glad that that worked out for you, and you found a way to improve your quality of life. My concern was just like, how do you make sure that we that it- that that it's just people who like who will benefit. Um,
Yeah.
but like, I mean, I guess I mean, from what you were talking about, it sounds like there are already guardrails in place. Um,
Yeah.
it's hard to get like a real or like a grasp on it from the outside, because like it feels like, I mean, you brought up that the 1 to 2% trans people globally, but from the way the issues get discussed, you would think it's a lot more than that.
And it's
So
not
it's like,
trans people doing it, right? Like, it's the
mhm,
right-wing conservative movement that is talking about trans more than I even talk about trans. And I'm a national trans leader. I'm on a trans podcast. Like, when I'm going out and into the world, I'm even running for office. I don't even really talk that about me being trans that much when I'm running for office. Like, there's this obsession with our gender identity that is so just disproportionate to the reality. They're trying to designate us as a terrorist group. They're trying to say that we are violent, and it's just like they just released an ad on Abigail Spanberger's talking about trans sports the other day, and it's still on loop across the state of the Commonwealth of Virginia. Like, it's weird. Don't you think that's weird that even us as trans people are just like, it's whatever. You're trans. Okay. Here's the medical system. Here's everything that's being done. The research that is being done in a clinical practice is also done by trans people. I know a lot of trans people who are more restrictive than the system that exists right now. And, because we want to make sure that we get it right, because we are competent human beings and we know how much it sucks to be in the closet, but we also want to make sure that the people who are coming out are trans and get the system and care and healthcare and rights that they get. So yeah, you're speaking to something very true, Brian. And that's why a lot of people are
yeah,
talking about transness, is because people who aren't trans are talking about it.
yeah, kind of like what you were going along with what you were saying. There was one that incident like recently that really had me raising my eyebrows when they were talking about the Charlie Kirk incident. How trans people kept coming up in that, even though like the shooter wasn't trans, and it was like I was like hearing
Right.
all that, and I was like, this sounds weird.
Yeah. Because it is weird. It is weird. And anybody that starts talking about that, you need to help us push back on that too, Brian. Like we cannot do this alone. There's not enough trans people in the world that like, because we're not trying to recruit anybody, right? We got what we got. That's all we are. That's who we are. And we need people like yourself, Brian, that raises an eyebrow and is like, "Hey, this is weird, right?" And you should tell everybody around you like, "Hey, this is weird. Why are they doing this? Trans people are just trying to exist." And you said it yourself. Trans people are more likely to be a victim of violence than to be the perpetrators. So it's up to our communities at large outside of the trans community that is going to help us here, because there's nothing Ben and I can say to the right wing hate machine that has made us and designated us as terrorists that are we're going to say. But maybe you, Brian, maybe you can be somebody that tells somebody that they're overreacting and they need to get their head on straight, because this is not what we need to be focusing on. We need to be focusing that, the US government is completely lost its fucking mind, and how the president's stealing $230 million from taxpayers by suing his own DOJ. That's what we should be talking about, not some random trans person just trying to live their life. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. The with the kind of insanity that's been going on in our country, trans people feel like such a tiny issue. But it's something that does just keep still coming up, right? Which, like, I feel
Yeah.
like, behooves us to like take the time to like make sure we have an informed perspective on the issue, whatever side of you fall on, which is kind of like why I wanted to call and just
Yep.
Yeah.
get your perspective, get the perspective of like some people who are like actually a little more closely tied
Yeah.
to the community than I
Yeah,
Absolutely.
am.
and something here too, just with the whole medical side, like it's very easy for people to look in from the outside and make their own opinions about medical guidelines. We're seeing this with the whole Tylenol issue and stuff, and it's like people who don't understand what work goes into creating medical guidelines, what experts are involved in that process, what decades of study goes into that. Uh, and so, as a physician, just hearing these conversations, like, yeah, I get that there's a lot of uh, like, there's a lot of good faith people just trying to get the correct answer from this and trying to form an opinion, but it's also like y'all aren't this heavily invested with like insulin regulation and how we came up with those guidelines. People aren't so interested with like migraine treatment guidelines. Like why is it now that this particular issue that has the same medical science behind it as trauma surgery, like why are you coming after us and not after trauma surgery? Like why is the armchair quarterbacking like so heavy with this particular issue? Uh, and so just something to think about, like, oh, maybe the people sharing a lot about this don't actually have an idea of how guidelines are created and why guidelines are created, and maybe they shouldn't really be your person to go to about how medicine works.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
You
And
know that
and Brian and I
that
go ahead.
genuinely just actually like I don't know. You're saying that genuinely had not really occurred to me before. I don't know. I feel like it's maybe just easy to like think that something's an issue because it gets talked about a lot.
mhm.
Mhm.
Um,
Exactly.
but
Exactly.
in any case, like it's been it's been a treat to talk to you guys, and you giving me some stuff
Yeah.
to walk away with. But like I do kind of have to go.
Yeah, this
Absolutely.
was a
No,
great
Brian, I really
conversation though.
appreciate you. Yeah, and all I ask is you to carry it forward. When you have somebody being weird about trans issues, tell them, "Hey, actually, like, it's maybe not that big a deal," right? Because that helps us too.
I'll actually
Okay?
I'll actually just tell them to call in because you guys talk about this a lot better than I do.
Okay, that's fair too. We'll take it. Awesome. All right, Brian. Have a great
All
rest of
right.
your day. Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
Have a good
Bye
day, guys.
bye. You too. Okay. Great. Awesome.
So
So
yeah.
we got 4 calls left.
I
Did you
don't
want to
think
say
we
something,
can
Darkman?
get to them all. So I don't know if you guys want to
Mhm.
choose like two and give them your
We'll
best.
we'll we'll try to do our best. We might be able to zip through them. We got to be on for another hour, right?
Yep.
Yeah, we do have supers to go through. We don't have a ton right now, but usually most of them start coming in once we start. So
Okay. Okay. Great.
Get your super chats in, folks.
So yeah. So let's go with Henry. Henry's been waiting the longest, so we'll go ahead and do Henry He Him from Indiana wants to discuss the definition of women and female. You are live on the line, Henry. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing well. How about the two of you?
Doing well, doing
Good.
well.
So I would like to say, first of all, I'm not a transphobe. I'm calling in specifically because I'm trying to be more confrontational against transphobes. And I saw
Got it.
somebody discussing something, and it kind of stumped me in a way, and I was hoping you might be able to help me figure something out about it. So
Yeah.
Okay, go
this
for it.
person was this person was saying that their definition of a woman was purely a biological one, and their definition was a woman is an adult human female, and a female is a person who developed along the female developmental pathways. They also used the term organized as female. I've seen a couple people use these kinds of terms, and it seems like a very odd thing to do because there's such a variety of biological conditions that I don't think it really fits, but I don't really know of a solid one to disprove that for them.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that to always point out is that no matter what biological definition you go with, you're always going to have to move the goalpost to something else because there's always somebody who does not meet every single criteria.
Exactly.
So I know, like, if you follow that train to the end, they often get to the gendered soul argument or the gamete potential argument. And
Mhm.
so I
That's what
think
they were
you
going,
really
gamete
have
potential,
to
basically.
break them away from a biological
Mhm.
essentialism argument, which Josie has some really good arguments here. So I'm going to sit back and let her get into this.
Yeah, yeah, awesome, great. So Henry, one of the things you got to think about is when they use the definition of woman as an adult human female, they are conflating gender and sex. And when you are conflating gender and sex and you are making them like analogous 100%, you are misusing the language that we have because definitions are not prescriptive, they're descriptive. So, for example, the first way that I would start is okay, adult human female. Okay, what is a chair? Right.
Mm.
We use this a lot because if somebody says a chair is something you sit on with four legs, I'm like, okay, horses, right? Like tables, and then all of a sudden then they have to define it again and define it again. And it's like the definition doesn't make what is so, right? Or something you sit on, okay, stump, the ground, so it's kind of you have to kind of like break away from like the prescriptive and descriptive way of looking at words because that is not
Mhm.
how the English language works. So dividing sex and gender is a very, very essential part. And what I usually typically say is I like to use this analogous term, which is it's kind of silly, but this is what I say. It's some coconut trees have coconuts and some don't, right? And would you
Mhm.
say that that's a true statement? Because there's
Yes.
still coconut trees. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Um so in that analogous statement, you can also say some women have penises and some don't.
Yes.
And the tree is the gender and the nuts on the coconuts is the sex, right?
Mm.
And so therefore it is two separate things, right? And so there's a way to be able to divide that up. And then if you're able to move beyond that point, I like to also use the categorization issue thing as well. So, for example, a
Mhm.
trans woman, a black woman, a blonde woman, a cis woman, they're all types
Mhm.
of women, right? Because
Yeah.
because if you are able to get them to agree the fact that they are all types of women, then the descriptor of trans doesn't negate the woman part of the conversation. So it is like the descriptor word which is above it. So like a black, woman is just a black woman, right? And a trans woman is just a trans woman, cis woman is just a cis woman, right? And usually when you're able to categorize in that way, it usually helps people kind of like detach themselves from the prescriptive descriptor words that they are trying to use. And I'm just going to warn you here, Henry. I'm going to just warn you because we've had a lot of calls on this show. Usually when somebody is trying to say an adult human female, they're usually pretty trolly about it. They're not in it for the actual conversation. They're in it for the quick response, and it's like, I know what a woman is, so therefore I'm right and you're wrong because you can't describe it quickly. Just try not to get caught in that. And one of the things that I would do in the situation with your friend is just be like, are we going to have this conversation in good faith? Are you here to actually hear my point of view? Or are you just trying to convince me that I am wrong and you are right? And sometimes you have to start there because there are some people who will just never see it. And it's just going to be a really frustrating conversation for you, and you're gonna give yourself a big headache if someone is just gonna completely revert back to like gametes and all of this type of stuff. Because if you're able to delineate the difference between sex and gender, which is gender is the social, sex is the biological, if you're able to separate those two things, gametes and all of this stuff doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We're talking about women, not females, right? And that is a completely different conversation, but you have to separate the two first. And if the person is unwilling to separate the difference between sex and gender, then you're not going to get anywhere.
That makes sense. That's kind of fit what I was experiencing. And for clarity, it was not a friend of mine, just some random person I saw making this argument. And they
Yeah.
were very insistent that it was strictly biological, even when other people pointed out to them that there is a difference between sex and gender.
Yeah, and that's just usually how those conversations go. And it's very unfortunate. And usually what I try to do when somebody's just insistent, it's about like, and I use this analogy as well of like, you know, there's a lot of jargon that is used when you talk about something very detailed. So if you're talking about a computer, right, you can
Mhm.
talk about the computer that goes on the internet, and that's a very simple thing to say. Or you can start talking about the components. Now you're gonna have to use different words. You have to use motherboards, circuits, resistors, transistors, like electricity, like all of the different cards and video cards and all of the components. And it gets very jargony very quickly. So if you want to talk about a computer, you have to know the words that is inside of a computer. If you want to talk about human experience, you need to know the words that involve the human experience when you're talking about the queer community or LGBTQ community as a whole, such as gender, sex, gender expression, sexual orientation, and relationship configuration, right? Like all of those different things are part of the human experience. And if somebody is unwilling to have a deeper conversation about a topic that they don't understand and not use the terminology that helps you understand the human experience, then there's no way you're going to be able to talk somebody. It's like trying to talk to an elementary student about, abstract algebra in college versus somebody who's just learning how
Yeah.
to do 2 plus 2. And I hate to be that pedantic about it, where it's just like, oh my gosh, if they have a child level understanding of gender and sex, but they have a child level understanding of gender and sex where they're unable to do the deep understanding that there are variables and you have deeper understanding of what the human experience is. And if you just think that 2 plus 2 is 4 and you don't know that there's 2.2, like 2.0 plus 2.0 is also 4, but you could say 4.0 or 4.000, or you can say, oh my gosh, it's actually not 2, it's actually 2.0000001. But if they only understand whole numbers, you can't explain that to somebody. And so that's where I think a lot of that happens as well. And it's not a good thing, but it's where we are in society, unfortunately.
No, that makes a lot of sense, and kind of the conclusion I had reached as well. I just wasn't sure if you might have had some other advice about it, but you did answer my question. I did
Great.
hear in a previous call there was someone who was asking about ways of kind of seeking asylum. Would it be all right if I make a suggestion on something people might be able to look into?
Sure. Sure, please.
So one thing I don't know if a lot of people know about it, English is very popular overseas in countries. They want a lot of English teachers. There's a lot of countries where even if you don't have a bachelor's degree, if you're a native English speaker, you can get a job teaching English in that country.
Yeah, that's actually a really great point. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it's a good
good.
option.
Yeah. Thank
There's
you,
a lot of
Henry.
them out there. I've actually did something similar myself before, and there's a lot of countries that will take people just as long as they speak English natively.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I
for
think
sure.
some require a like there's a super short course that can give you like a certification in teaching English as a second language.
Yes,
And I think a lot of the
yes.
programs like that, but a lot of the programs are it's like a few weeks or something. Should be pretty easy. But yeah, that's a great option.
Yeah,
Uh,
great.
that was all I
All
wanted to
right,
call in
Henry.
about, and I just wanted to say thank you both of you for doing this show and putting yourselves out there and combating against this. Like we need more of this.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, and I appreciate your call, and yeah, you have a great rest of your day, okay?
You both have a good day as well. Thank you.
All right, bye-bye. Great. Awesome. So we are getting through it. So let's go ahead and take our next call. Valerie from her from Germany wants to talk about imposter syndrome. Valerie, you are live on the line. How are you?
Hi. Hello, Josie and Dr. Ben. Can you hear me all right?
Yep.
Yes.
Hi. Yeah. Yeah, good. Thank you for asking. Well,
Yes.
I don't know about actually, but basically my main problem is that I've been transitioning for 2 years. One of them was just social. The second one was medical. And due to a lot of stuff that, I don't think we have time to get into, like the start of my transition was not a very kind one. It was a very traumatic one. I lost a lot of people, and I lost them in a very, confrontational and transphobic way, let's say. And ever since that, even though I'm starting now to assimilate more and starting to pass more, there is always this voice back in my head that, like, at the first argument, they're gonna turn like my old friends, you know? And
Mhm.
I don't know, like my ability to make friends with guys have been shattered completely. And with girls, I'm always feeling like I am not enough, you know? And
Mhm.
I like act very, very cautiously in a way that is um, unhealthy and very isolating, you know? Like I am basically like preventing myself from making friendships, and I don't know how to get out of that place, to be honest. And
Mhm.
I was wondering if,
Well,
I don't know, if you have advice on this matter.
yeah. First, I am sorry that you're dealing with that. I too lost a lot of friendships and family for coming out as trans myself. So I definitely understand where you're coming from. And thank you for sharing that because it's a really hard time. And I hear that. And you're getting a lot of love in the chat as well. Um, and with people
Oh,
also saying, yes, they feel it too. Um, One of the things that I recommend, because it's going to take time to build trust, because once trust is lost, it's very hard to regain that trust. So, what you're feeling is normal and natural, and it's completely understandable, and you're not wrong for feeling this way. I will say that some of the ways that I've seen people get over this this loss of trust for their fellow people in humanity, is connecting with other trans people who also have that experience as well. I think when you have other trans community members that also can relate with you, even other queer members that also had to deal with this type of behavior from people who aren't very kind, what you'll realize is that there are people who have regained that trust and are living wonderful lives, either with cis partners. I have a cis partner myself, or just having really strong friendships. I have a lot of really straight and cis friends, women and men that I dearly love, and it is it takes time, but I think when you have community members around you that are there to understand your experience and for you to build trust with outside of the cis folks, it may help you rebuild trust in humanity itself. Is a suggestion that I have. Ben, do you
Yeah.
have anything you want to add?
Yeah, I think that's a great suggestion. I also think, you're in Germany, so you might have pretty good access to counseling or therapy. I would recommend like having somebody, especially an affirming person, who can help you kind of process through a lot of this because it's a lot.
Mhm.
It's a lot to deal with, and especially, I mean, any stage of transition is a lot to deal with, and things are gonna constantly come up, and some of that imposter syndrome piece, like some people may struggle with it less, but I mean, it's never fully gone away for me. Like it's gotten better, but I struggle with it a lot, and it was really bad at the beginning of transition. So having uh, queer people and a queer affirming therapist is also very helpful if you're able to access that.
I am starting like therapy soon, but like this is part of my problem. Like I was the ally, quote unquote, straight guy, in my friend group. Like my friends were almost like all queer, And when I came out, like I don't know what I expected, I expected like I have a good group of friends. Like yeah, like my friends. One of my best friend was a gay cis guy. My other friend was bisexual, non-binary person, and I don't know. Like it just made me getting rejected in that way. Just made me want to isolate. Like I don't feel safe in queer spaces, particularly. And yeah, like rebuilding that trust. Like I understand. Yeah, like. Maybe it was an isolated case, like I was in the wrong group of people because like I don't like I'm not German. I'm originally from Syria and my friends were from like similar places. So there was, even though they were queer, there's I think a lot of like internalized homophobia and transphobia and stuff like that. So maybe it was, yeah, it wasn't the right group of people, but yeah, like yeah, I've been trying like this whole year just to try rebuilding my friendships, and it has not been working out. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, no need to apologize. It's definitely tough. Um, and how recently did this all happen for you?
Well, it was all last year, during last year. Like
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's yeah. I'm sorry. I'm just
No,
like
it's
my
fine.
thoughts. So
No,
like my
it's
problem is that like I don't know about other people's experiences, but when I started transitioning, like my friends were like at first they're like, oh, like I'm so happy for you, blah blah blah, like yeah, great. And the moment I actually started transitioning, actually started changing my appearance, my like gender expression, um, I was suddenly the crazy person, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I always have this fear, you know, like, whenever I meet other people that it's gonna turn out the same. I don't know.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's natural for someone to feel like that, right? Where it's like, okay, that I don't want to be hurt again. And I think what Ben said, once you have a therapist, it may be able to support you a little bit better professionally. But I think the most important thing to do is to find the safe community. And usually other trans people are that safe community. And it's
yeah.
a home base, right?
Mhm.
And reach out, just try to find other community around you,
Yeah.
and connect with other humans, and other trans people that understand what you're going through, and it will be easier, I think, for you. It was for me. That's why I'm speaking from. It was easier
Mhm.
for me when I started finding other trans community members to kind of talk me through some of the experience, because it was really hard when I lost like my biological father and a lot of my family and other friends and colleagues, and even some professional relationships were burnt, just
Yeah.
because I came out as trans. But that was like, and now it's easy for me to look back because that was nearly 6 years ago.
Mhm.
And it does a miraculous thing. As time passes, these wounds start to heal. And so this is a moment where you have an opportunity to find other trans community members to get embraced, and then
Mhm.
you'll start venturing out and connecting with more people.
Mhm. Yeah. I'll try that.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
that's
for sure.
important. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
for my family, I just
Well,
like they're not accepting, so I just cut them off. So yeah, I
yeah,
think yeah, thank you for the advice. Yeah, I think I'll find some local trans communities. Yeah,
yeah,
and
for
go the
sure.
same.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, good luck. I wish you all the love. So does the chat. It's a hard time. Um, yeah. So great. Well, you have a wonderful rest of your night, right? Or is it morning over there?
Yeah. No, it is night.
Is
Yeah,
it
it's
is it is morning?
11:30 p.m. 11:30
Oh, PM.
p.m.
Okay. Well, okay. Well, have a great night. Get some good rest, and we'll hope to hear from you soon. Okay. Keep it up.
Thank you.
You'll make it
Have
through
a
it.
good.
Okay. You too.
Thank
All
you.
right. Bye bye.
Bye.
All right. And yeah, so that was our last call, because the voice of God said that we're not taking all the calls, damn it.
Yeah.
And so it's not our fault that we did not pick up the phone for you. So do not blame Josie or Ben. Blame Arden.
Damn,
That's the
Yeah.
person. Yeah,
But
she's happy to do it.
it's okay because this show happens every week. So you know what? If you didn't get on this week, you can try again next week and call earlier so maybe you get through. Uh,
Yeah, and
but yeah.
like and subscribe. Do that.
All
And I'm only $400 away from $25,000 raised on this campaign. Help us hit this milestone, because yeah, if I don't raise more money on these calls, my campaign manager will say, what are you doing? Why aren't you going to events? And I'm gonna be like, but but TACIS. And it's like, what has TACIS done for us? And I'm like, a lot. So help me
yeah.
keep proving that, please.
Yes. All right, 10 pounds from Sunny Solitaire. Beginning my social transition at 46 and asked for a referral to my gender clinic thanks to my amazing wife and Takis. Just want you to know the show changes lives for the better. Hashtag Team Dr. Ben. Hashtag go fuck yourself, Gilberto. I don't know who Gilberto is.
Well,
But
Gilberto's
thank you.
getting some of the hate. Yeah.
He's a return caller. I can't remember his most offensive things, but
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
he's definitely a return caller.
I was wondering, is this one
Okay,
of the
that makes
Zerba
sense.
things that happened, or because I don't even? I'm sure
No.
we're
It
gonna get some
should be.
super chat things with some of the Zerbas, which I still have. Uh, I'm still angry that my Zerba sister did not make the cut, and I was pissed. I have her right here. Zorlaga will get her fucking revenge, everybody.
Maybe I'll
Just
do a
saying.
Why'd
special
she have a pitchfork?
the rejects thing. That would be
The
good.
rejects, yes.
Ooh.
She has a pitchfork because she's the priestess of hell. She's Zerba's
Oh,
Look at
goth
that lip
sister.
filler. I
okay.
want genuinely, I
Yeah,
wanted
it's
to do
so
a
much
formal
lip
drawing
filler.
of that because I wanted to do the big lips.
Yeah, the more you hate her, the more lip filler she gets.
Oh, jeez.
Yes.
It makes sense. It makes sense. $5 from Legally Mod. Ben, congratulations of getting out of Texas. Hashtag Team Josie. Hashtag Team Fuck Tamris. Yes. Yes, absolutely. Tamris apparently got banned, by the way, so we may not hear from Tamris again. At least not on this show.
Yeah.
We may
Yeah,
unban him.
yeah.
We'll see.
We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. I will say though, before we read this next chat, if you haven't voted in the poll, for the super chat losers, drinking water makes you gay. Furries are actually cryptids, and only bisexuals can play Mario Kart. So if you want your voices heard in the democratic process of who gets to defend a ridiculous, absurd claim, make sure you do that.
All right. 30 shekels from Poetical Irony. The unofficial pre-TACIS off the line poetry jam number 4. And yet again, there was an audience of none. I'm determined to keep it going every week, 90 minutes before the stream in the Discord voice chat. Hashtag Team J. Yeah, and this happens
Yeah.
every week. Go show some love in the Discord for some poetry. Could be a cool little open
Yeah.
mic over there before the show if y'all want to do that.
It might get easier for
Yeah,
you
it's good
soon
stuff.
too to this person because I know we're changing over our Discord. I think we're going to be partnering with Recovering from Religion to have a like partnered Discord with them and having them in charge of it. So, because they've got a lot more resources dedicated to that kind of thing and doing it well than we do. I know. So yeah, look forward to that because that might make your things a little bit more easy to attend for people.
Yeah. And also, yeah, sounds great. And Poetical Irony is in my Discord community, which is the Love Nest. So I still have that. It's still around. It's still a thing. $10 from Melatonin Ali. My husband knew me as Ali since high school. We started dating 10 years later, and I asked him to call me Ale because I never liked Ali. I sometimes go by Alex, but my name is Alejandra. Hashtag Team Josie. Yeah. Gotta just gotta do what feels right. Sometimes it just takes a minute.
No, but if you can't prove 100% that your name is actually
Yeah.
a thing, then I can't call
Yeah.
you that. I'm just gonna call everyone. I'm
You're
just gonna call
just
everyone Steve. Everyone's Steve
yeah.
now. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, everybody that disagrees is a liar. And you know, Dr. Ben doesn't
Yeah,
want to lie to people. You know, he's got to
I don't
speak
want to lie to
his
people.
truth.
Yeah, my
Yeah.
truth is that everyone
Got
is Steve. So
yeah.
$5 from Steve Bramley CX. I'm really glad Thomas was able to discover things about herself on the call today. Hashtag Team Josie. Yeah, Thomas, definitely.
The
We will affirm Thomas
agender
here.
yeah, the agender hero.
Yeah.
Yes. $5 from Alice Shauna Silverbow. Every time someone say biological woman, I want to know if there is a non-biological woman. Aren't all women biological? Hashtag Team Josie. No, we're cyborgs. We're cyborgs. They're cyborg women. The trans women are cyborgs. That's how it works.
Mhm. Yep.
You heard it here. All those transphobes, clip it. I just told
Yeah,
the
I mean
secret
that
truth.
might be a legitimate conversation when AI gets consciousness, but that's like
That's true. That's
a
true.
future
But that's
conversation.
what we want, though. We want to be the
Yeah,
cyborgs when AI takes over. Then we'll be spared. So that's
yeah. We're not actually the people.
yeah,
9.99 from Ashley
yeah.
Ray. Cherokees have terms like asegi, strange, and asegi udanto, which means she, he feels, thinks like a man, or she, he feels, thinks like a woman, for those who exist outside of or mixed gender roles. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
so many cultures with a spectrum of gender identities and gender roles. And part of this too is colonialism and European norms, because like it's just wiping out so many other cultures that have already embraced this a long time
Wait,
ago.
I thought trans people were only discovered like 5 minutes ago, or at least 5 years ago, I guess, right? Like that. No, what is this? What is
Yeah.
this? This sounds like lies.
I
I
believe the
don't
term
believe it, so
used was
therefore it's
fake
not
news.
real.
Thank you.
Oh,
Fake
yeah,
news.
that's true, that's true. Yeah. No, thank you. I love reading about other cultures, and how they view gender. Fucking colonialists ruin everything. $5 from Bram Lake 6CX. That's what I'm gonna say. Sorry for using the wrong pronouns. Tomris, we should all use S's pronouns. You deserve respect for a self. Hashtag Team Josie. Yes.
Yes.
Oh my god. And the last trolley statement was power to the people. I'm like, yeah. But we cut him off before he said anything else. I was like, yeah, power to the people. I guess I don't think
Five
his
pounds
troll
from the
was
fuzzy
working.
logic. Oh yeah, no, it was funny. Just going along with it because they want
Yeah.
us to be angry. They want us to get riled up. So I think it's really funny just taking that different approach and affirming them and just like not getting riled up at all about it. It was kind of fun.
Yeah, it was great.
Uh, 5 pounds from the fuzzy logic. Hey, look, Josie's calm and pleasant motherly demeanor hatched another egg. Congrats, Tomris. Another $20 going to SSA in your name. Thank you, fuzzy
I
logic.
love
That's
it.
all.
Thank you. Thank you so much. $6.01 from the Bastille 9 M90 US of A call legitimately gave me more nuanced understanding of gender today. Love this show too much. Hashtag Team Josie. You're welcome. Thank you, Thomas. You opened up another gender door for so many of our viewers. Thank you so much
Yeah.
for your lived experience.
5 pounds from Mystic Mind Analysis Tavern. Trans. I know it doesn't say tavern there, but I know it used to say that. Trans
Yeah,
people are so metal, and as Tenacious D once said, "You cannot kill the metal. The metal will live on." Absolutely.
true. That's right. That's right. $5 from Green Garbador. The the Missouri History Museum had a great temp exhibit called Gateway to Pride, all about the history of LGBTQI plus in St. Louis. It is a virtual exhibit now. Oh, that's interesting. I'm actually going to be in St. Louis in a couple weeks. If it's still there, I might have to check it out.
Cool.
It sounds awesome.
$5 from Joshua Everett 9887. Wonderful to see Josie and Ben today. Let's see. Flips coin. Hashtag Team Dr. Ben. I love that, I'm only getting points on the board because of a coin flip. Just
You
chance.
know, you're getting the luck vote, okay? Lady
Get,
Luck is on your side. Go play the
hey, I
lottery.
got
You might win some
something.
dollars. Yeah.
Did you see the people using Chat GPT to generate their Powerball numbers and like
Oh
some
my
people winning
gosh.
from that?
What? Shut up. I don't know.
Yeah.
Winning? Winning? Oh my god.
Not
Oh
not
my
the not the
god.
big prizes, but winning some of the other prizes, like because Chat GPT predicted the numbers.
Oh my god, let ChatGPT ruin the lottery. $10 from Canada, from at Preform42. I think Tomris was a wonderful example today of how someone coming to terms with possibility of being non-binary or trans. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. This is what happens when you let somebody's logic go all the way through. This is my secret technique, right? You let them play their logic out and you just keep walking them toward the hole that they've dug and then you just go boop and then they just fall in and they can't get out. It's amazing. It's my favorite tactic in debate. You're trapped in the hole of your own making and then I just start grabbing the shovel and start burying. It's the best way.
$5 from Joshua Everett 9887. We need to pad out the show a few minutes. Well, hashtag Team Dr. Ben, hashtag put a few additional buttons on it. Well, thank you. Thank you for the vote. That wasn't a coin flip, maybe it was. I don't know anymore. I don't trust anything anymore. It's all coin flip.
Yeah, it's all coin flip. That's all it is.
Wait, sorry, I got distracted by a text from the big boss. What did I give you that point or not yet? I don't think so,
Not
right?
yet.
Okay, there we go.
I should
No.
have 3. A whole 3 points.
Okay. $5 from Alishana Silverbow. I just found out that the Norwegian Navy has barcodes on the side of every ship. That's so when they enter port, they can Scandinavian.
That's
Scandinavian.
actually good.
Hashtag Team Josie. I love that. It's so good. Alishana hasn't done super chats in a while, so it's good to see you back in true form. In
Yeah.
true form, I love it. I love it.
$5 from SJL. Do you hear that fall may need to be canceled this year? ICE is trying to figure out how to deport all the colored trees. I would not
Oh
put it past.
God.
Oh, and with that, like I love seeing Hegseth with all his uh big macho alpha man standards for the military, and then like a bunch of the people go into ICE or like can't pass the fitness test and like can't meet basic criteria. It's like, do you want to pretend to be this like lethal force, or do you want to actually have the people that you're gonna get, because these two do not overlap. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. $5 from Robin Hood 253. Hello to host and chat. Dealt with Brian perfectly. Sorry, Josie. Hashtag Team Ben. Yeah, you have to be sorry because this is an affront.
I'm still losing though. It's okay.
It's
Five
still an
dollars from
affront.
$5 from Legally Mod.
I need a
I think
mandate,
60.
damn it.
You just want to take $230 million from the super chats
Just
and put
just
it in
dip
your
my hand in there and just
yeah.
take it out.
Yeah. Yeah. Just gotta get the bulldozers out next.
Yeah,
Five
exactly.
dollars $5 from Legally Mod. I think 65% of American transphobia is due to the fact that a plurality of Americans read below a third grade level and don't know how English works. I think like the educational
Yeah.
system definitely has a big problem.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a very, very bad world we live in. And next, 4.99 from Infidel. Have we thought about separate bathrooms for evangelical Christians? I'm no longer comfortable with in the bathroom with them. Yeah, you know that you
Yeah,
just if you're
only if we can put the Catholics in there
I-
with them, and all the other denominations that have high amounts of child predators. Can we put them away from
yeah,
everyone else? Maybe we make a
yeah,
like a bathroom bill where they can't be in the bathroom with a minor,
yeah.
because they actually have the data behind it.
We have
So
the data to support that. Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. $20
20 Australian.
Australian monies. Yeah, from Johnny Brown. I'm trans 47XXY plus bilateral OTDSD. Love this channel for trying to educate the trilobites. Yes. Yes. Yep. We need to educate them
We're trying our best.
as much as they can be educated.
$5 from Joshua Everett 9887. I'm always a bit put out when YouTube messes up our chat handles.
Ooh, I
I'm
know. It
sorry.
messed up mine too.
I know. I don't
I'm
know what
upset.
causes that. I don't. Somebody was asking if I could change it, and I was like, I don't think it's a setting on the channel. I'm pretty sure that's a YouTube thing. But
Proving
maybe
that
I'm
God
wrong.
can't do everything again, you know?
Listen,
God
God's always
isn't
been
at
Yeah,
all
why
all
can't God
powerful.
powerful.
fix
We know
YouTube?
this.
Why can't he
Yeah.
fix YouTube?
I'm
Simple
sorry.
things.
I am YouTube, but I can't
Yeah.
fix YouTube.
And can't fix it. And yeah. $5 from Mr. Bariqua 10. And oh fuck. I need to start hating it when I see Bariqua. You know you're giving me a negative connotation to you, Mr. Bariqua. At first I used to like saying your name. Now I dread it. Is this what you want? Do you want me to dread seeing your name? Because that's what you're getting right now. You're getting Josie Dread.
Josie has a
And
problem
that
with
is
Puerto
not where
Ricans.
you want to be.
Confirmed.
Yeah, my own people. Damn them. All right. Now I I don't know why I do that voice. I don't even understand. Maybe I should just do something completely different. Maybe I should just be like, let me see if I can just do a completely different voice. So maybe I'll just be the anxiety fairy. Now I feel a bit conflicted with Thomas as I spell while coming off as agenda. Why the oh no and Ben. Hashtag Dr. Ben.
Okay, that's
Apparently, she had a
that's
stroke
the voice now.
halfway through.
Yeah,
Yes.
that was an experience. I don't know if it was a good experience, but it was an experience.
We definitely should have
I
charged
have a
admission
suggestion.
to go through that.
Yeah, I have a suggestion, or I guess a request, that we make a clip and maybe we make it a patron only thing, so it's behind a paywall. But we take that audio and then we take also the audio of Matt barking and then the visual of Matt twerking and put it all together in a video.
Nightmare fuel.
Yes.
Good for Halloween.
Nightmare fuel. Yes, it's so good for Halloween. I just put it with like a spooky overlay in the background. Like, yeah. It sounds like a haunted house. Like, let's go.
Yeah. Five pounds from Barbara Barrett, J8F, hashtag Team Ben. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
That's too funny. It's too funny.
$5 from Liquid Cyber X. I'm living proof trans women are cyborgs. Yeah, there you go. It's true. Says it in the name.
$5 from Ashley L6590. You all have been so lovely. I'm so glad I've been spending more time here lately. Also, hashtag Team Ben. Thank you so much for sticking around. I hope that
You're catching
I
up.
hope that all you people are liking the video as well. Hit that like button,
Look at
subscribe.
you catching up. Oh,
Yeah.
see, this is what
You're
happens when you
dying.
came in from behind. Yes. No, you're winning now after this. $5 from Green Garbador. Sadly, the gateway to Pride exhibit is in St. Louis is closed in July. I wish it had been open longer than a year. Check it out. Visit online. Hashtag team Ben.
Thank you for the vote.
And yeah. And you know what? If I lose, I'm not gonna give you the wicked witch laugh. I have a really good wicked witch laugh, and if you wanna
Ooh.
hear it, you better Team Josie better show up. I'm just saying it. I
Four
need
ninety
wins for my
nine.
ego. I'm running a campaign.
$4.99 from Life is Literary. How do you respond to this? If a woman is someone who identifies as a woman, woman is undefined since it's being defined as itself. Not my argument. Yeah, I've heard that argument before, and it's just a case where you then, if someone asks, you further break down what you mean by that. Uh, you can break it down into the identity, uh, social role, expression, etc. Um, but because we know that definitions, like there's still terms within that still could be further defined. So you just have to be okay further defining it.
There are also tons of definitions that don't like
Yeah.
this isn't the
Oh,
one
I can't
definition
hear you,
trans
Josie.
people use.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I was talking to my partner about something. Okay. Is this you or me?
It's you, I think.
Okay. $10 from Mealy Bun. I didn't realize I was a trans woman to 42 a year ago. I never knew my life could feel this amazing. I'm filled with gratitude and survived long enough to know this kind of joy and self-love. Hashtag Team Josie. Let's go. I feel that. Ah,
And
it's
the
so true.
tie. The tie.
Back to the
The
tie.
tie. Oh no, we're breaking the tie again. $5 from Sapphic Hazard. I want to hear the Josie laugh. Hashtag Team Josie. I feel like Josie is saving that for the end. I wish I had something to bribe with, but the things that I would normally bribe with aren't going to be interesting. So
Sapphic Hazard, $5. I really want to hear the Josie laugh. Sorry, Dr. Pitt. I love you too. Hashtag Team Josie. You're gonna get it, everybody. Oh, maybe. I don't know. Two of them came in to tie.
$5 from Joshua Everett 9887. Josie needs more extemporaneous speaking practice. Hashtag Team Dr. Ben. See, they're
Oof.
voting for me because they want to hear you talk. So,
Yeah, is that what it is?
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
$5 from Glider Y. I have nothing clever to put here. Hashtag Team Ben. Oh my
All
gosh, it's
right.
a tie.
We don't have
Okay,
time to
nice.
do too
It's
crazy
a
of a
tie.
tiebreaker, but I guess
No.
we'll give it a
Let's
minute.
go.
The next
Let's
first
go.
super chat to come in to break it will be
First
the
one.
deciding, even if we get a few after it.
Oh
Ooh.
no.
The first
Yeah.
one I see on the page
Ooh. Oh, the
is gonna be the
laugh is on the
deciding break.
line. The laugh. It's worth it, I promise. Even my niece and nephews were like, "This is so good." Like, they make me do it all the time. They're like, "Do the witch laugh." Okay.
If we get to 55 and no one has sent something, I'm gonna have you guys do like a rock, paper, scissors. But I know there's someone out there who's
Okay.
got $5 to tie
There's someone.
break.
There's
And there's
someone
gonna be like
I
7
win,
that are gonna come in, but I set the
at the
rules,
same
y'all.
exact time.
yeah.
Oh, wow! Look, oh, you know what though? Sapphic Hazard did a 12 months to give us the laugh. 12 months line
That
support
doesn't
for all
count.
shows, which is big
That's
money.
not a
Girl said she
Big
hashtag.
had her
money.
budget and then is like, also though, let me do 12-month subscription.
If I
Does
win,
that
I'll
count?
do a shot of the
I think
I
it
have
should
got some
count.
hatch green chili vodka. I'll do a shot of that on stream if
Team Josie
I
came
win.
through.
Okay, that's
Team
official.
Josie
Oh, so we
came
got to do the
through.
laugh.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks to you. So this is from Shiloh57. Thanks to both of you for everything you do, but hashtag Team Josie.
So it looks like drinking
All
water
right.
makes you gay is what
Okay.
won.
While I do that, I will do my witch laugh. Okay.
Okay, let me get this set up. Host left is the winner.
Okay, here it
Alrighty,
goes.
go for it. Give us your laugh. I thought we were gonna get something bigger
Did
than
y'all get it?
that.
No, that was not. But it's like.
Oh, there we go. There we go. That was good. It like I think it cut you out
Yeah.
for the first part of it.
Oh, is that what it was? Because I was too loud on the mic. That's what it was. Okay, that go through.
Okay.
Okay, all right,
That went
good.
through then. Yep.
There it goes.
All right. Are we
Yeah.
ready,
Okay.
Dr.
All right.
Ben,
Perfect.
to defend that water makes you gay?
Yeah, I guess. I
All
guess
right,
I
here we
gotta be
go.
ready.
Charging up the
Oh.
clock in 3, 2, 1, go.
Yeah, so drinking water makes you gay because in the words of Alex Jones, they put the fluoride in the water and turned the frickin' frogs gay. Something like that. So if it's turning the frogs gay, it's probably turning the humans gay too. It's all because of the fluoride in the water and the other stuff that they put in it. I hear that people have put hydrogen and oxygen in the water, and it's making this dihydrogen monoxide stuff. And when you drink that, it messes with your chakras and your vibrations. Your frequency gets off, and you become a raging homosexual. And when that happens, you can't help but be attracted to every single person of your gender that's within a 50-mile radius, and it's just uncontrollable. So you don't want to drink water. Instead, if you don't want to be gay, you can drink battery acid or something. I don't know what straight people like, but it sounds pretty fitting for that. Or I don't know. Maybe they like something like baby formula because they're just so not used to being an adult. Um, but you have to avoid fluoride because Alex Jones is right about everything. Same thing with Dr. Oz, all the chiropractors out there, all the naturopaths. And they're doing okay in life. They're making money. And Trump doesn't drink water either. Like he just drinks Diet Coke all day. So that's why he's not gay. So just trust me, bro. Trust me.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's it. That's what I got.
Yeah, that's it. That's, and you sprinkle a little estrogen in that water, and then you're like a transbian or a trans gay man. So that's how
Yeah.
it works. You just
Yeah.
or the testosterone. Make it a nice ginger juice. You shake it, never stir it, because if you stir it, it fucks it all up and it doesn't work right. So then you'll just be like a
Yeah, you
straight
can't do that.
binary person. Yeah, you straight
Yeah,
trans
if you
binary. No, you gotta shake it.
yeah, if you stir it, you become ace. That's what I did wrong. So
Oh,
Oh, John Gleason
yeah.
in chat also said if you put Tylenol in it, it makes you double gay, which is a good time to remind you guys that Ben
Yes.
and John are going to have a show tomorrow. Cuz I wanna. So
Oh,
hit that
nice.
notification bell on that. Also, if you
Yeah,
stay
so
in the
get your
chat,
calls in
I'm going to
too.
be on Calling It Now with Jimmy
Oh, yeah.
at 5. So
Yeah.
hang
Yeah, stick
around.
around, and then talk to the most unhinged human beings on the planet. And yeah, the callers are all right, but the most unhinged. Just kidding.
The callers do make me want to cry, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
it's okay. It's a way of life, and
yeah.
we like to hurt ourselves here on
And
the line by talking to people who make us cry.
and I did get some last minute contributions. I am literally about less than $300 away from hitting 25,000. So find it in your heart, please, to donate to get us over the hump to 25,000 raised. I want to tell people I'm going to a fundraiser right now for
Do
another
it.
friend of mine that's running. Do it. I'm freaking raising more money than like state representatives right now. Let's do this. We're crushing it. Gotta crush this race. Gotta make it happen. And
Hell
like
yeah.
and subscribe. Join the Patreon. Stick around. Watch Jimmy and Arden kick some freaking ignorant ass. That's all that exists on the Calling It Now. It's all that exists.
All right.
They're not bringing their best, okay? Like they're just not.
Maybe Thomas will.
Maybe Tomris will call. All right,
Yeah.
it's a completely different line. Like, do it.
I
Yeah.
might
Come
jump
on,
off a
Tomris.
roof of my house if that happens. Just kidding. Just kidding. That wasn't serious. Calm down,
Just
Kat.
kidding.
Oh my god.
Don't. Yeah, it's out the window, not the roof. Come on. Bye, friends.
Anyway, later, losers.
Bye.